Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump. I am your host, Jose Galison, and this is the kitty of the day, Dobby, a little black boy. You can tell, you might even be able to see how fuzzy he is. Can you hear him purring? He's a sweet little boy. He's actually my favorite of the litter. Every now and then you have one that's a little special, super sweet. You can tell he's a little sweetheart, just nothing but a little purr machine, and all he loves is love. And he feels all velvety and soft. He was one of the more soft ones. For those who aren't aware, with Sphinx, they are not truly hairless. They got a little fuzz to them, and they have varying degrees. He is one of the most fuzzy kitties we've had, so he's super velvety and feels great. But yeah, guys, if you like hearing my hot takes Monday through Friday on the Morning Dump at 11 a.m. Eastern, typically that's the goal. We don't always make it. Or if you just want to see the kitty of the day, you want to see more kitties like this, then be sure to hit the subscribe button down below and hit that bell for notifications, and we will see you in the show.
Beautiful thing, right now.
Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to the white lights.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
Crazy evil.
Good morning, good morning. It's November 7th, Friday, TGIF. It's the end of the week. I've had a good morning so far. Got a workout in, got some breakfast, had a pretty good day. Got some coffee sitting beside me. Had been pretty productive so far. I hope you've had a productive morning as well. If not, we're going to get on that trend, or we're going to continue it if you've already been on it. Today we have plenty to go through. I have a fun little thread to kind of jump off from the beginning. I guess we had some sort of like Patriot of the Year or Patriot Awards over at Fox. Which were particularly egregious, and one of the main threads we'll be going through there is the Patriot of the Year, Melania, and kind of digging a little bit into her past. We'll also be talking about the former prince to Congress. Just kind of tell it says itself, but we'll dig into little other Epstein stories along the way too. We will elucidate you on more of that information. Obviously, the former prince. Now Andrew Mountbatten being summoned to Congress. We'll get into that. And then Glowies, which is a grab bag topic. We have numerous things to go through. We got updates on the pipe bombing, the J6 pipe bombing thing we talked about yesterday. We've got some Kirk stuff, and I don't know, maybe, I mean, it is, like I said, it's a grab bag of glowy-ish type stuff. And then we got more on the Halloween plots, and maybe, just maybe, we'll get into some like hate crime type stuff, some fake hate crime nonsense. And then even if we're really good on time, we might get into trifle and hose. I think those are all like a little less glowy, but those are kind of variations of glowy. I mean, it's deception. It's I don't know. It's conspiracy of sorts. It just may not be specifically an intelligence agency. It just might be Jews or whores. But yeah, we'll or what some other minority doesn't to be Jews. I'm being a little provocative there, being a little silly. But guys, we'll start off with our normal icebreaker stories and clips. I think I have a pretty good little icebreaker segment set up for you guys today. And then we'll get into foreign policy after that. Between those two, and kind of intermittently in segments, we'll pop in, say our good mornings, and check into the chat, see what you guys got to say. As always, if you want to support the show, use a QR code over here. One of these days, I'll figure out how to do the super chats or something. We'll figure another way. Till then, we're doing you just got to say something interesting in the chat, and I'll read it. One of these days, I think you can give me money on Rumble. Maybe one of these days I get remonetized on YouTube, but I don't have much of a super chat option. Maybe we'll figure that out in the past, but I don't know. Just do the right thing. If you feel like you feel value from the show, I mean, just up on over the QR thingy right over there. Just a couple bucks. It's whatever. If you don't want to give me money, it's fine. Whatever. I'm gonna keep on doing what I'm doing. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and get into the icebreaker stuff for today. Let's jump off with letting you guys know, I guess we're going to the moon. Holy shit, we're doing it again, guys. Sure. This is per Sean Duffy, whoever the fuck that is. But yes, apparently I guess that's what I've seen reported around, that we're returning to the moon. I mean, at this point in time, I gotta say though, it's almost like it would almost feels foolish to not fake a moon landing with the current state of things. So I don't know. You literally with the current state of AI and such, it feel like it does make more sense for us to fake this moon landing. Like the first moon landing could be real, and I could totally buy this moon landing gets faked just because the fact of that's where AI and stuff is right now, and our government seems to be in shambles. Still in the shutdown, I think, which I don't really give a shit much for government anyways, so whatever. I don't know. I kind of hope they keep staying shut down. I don't know. We'll see if it picks up. It seems like they keep still doing the shitty things, though, so does it make a difference? I don't know. All right, to kind of start off today, this icebreaker, there's a few different stories, I guess, that kind of interlink. We have Tucker. Actually, never mind, I'm retarded. I presented this one wrong. That's the next one I'm thinking of. I'm an idiot. Disregard the last 15 seconds. I fucked that up. Just kidding. This clip right here is Tucker being absolutely hilarious about Dick Cheney. So let's see what he has to say. Let's watch it. Of course the audio's out. You got to be kidding me. Man, last episode, StreamYard went a good long while without fucking up on me. All right, give me a second. Here we go. All right, now we got it back up. Goddamn stupid StreamYard. All right, let's try it now.
Dick Cheney died.
I knew him well.
How do you think he'll be remembered?
You know, probably. I mean, I'm just really loath to... I have great respect for death. I've seen a lot of it, and I'm opposed to it. I will just say that. And but I have reverence for it, and I just don't. It's if you're not like back on your heels a little bit in the face of death, and just acknowledging that there are mysteries no human mind can comprehend, and sort of humble in the face of it, then you're not really in touch with your best parts. You're not fully human. So I just don't criticize people when they die, and I will.
I actually 100% disagree with that, but whatever. I mean, I don't really. I know people do this thing. I mean, I get we should all be cognizant of that we're going to die, but I also feel like it's this weird compunction that almost like I'm not saying one way or the other. I actually don't think you should go hard in the paint after someone's death to say things way. I don't know, how am I trying to say this? Like, I don't think it should be curbed in one way or the other, I guess is what I'm saying. Like the idea that like, oh, don't speak ill of the dead. But then obviously then you have everyone, typically speaking, when someone dies, comes out and speaks celebratory of the dead. You're like, well, if you're going to have that, then you need to have the opposite as well. So I really just feel like, honestly, your opinion of someone should be unfazed by death. Maybe it should at least be a cause for reflection upon maybe with your own behaviors and kind of like how that at any time it could end. So I get in the sense there is like this poetic recognition or humbleness of death in that, but I don't think that necessarily means that you then have to afford that to. If anything, that makes it all the more important, I think, to draw light to it. Kind of like, if anything, say truth in that moment. Really, I actually, now that I think about it more, depending on who it is, obviously, like there's no reason to go up to like someone's widow and be like, your husband was a piece of shit. And you're like, well, there's no use for that. But like on the public stage, especially with these large sorts of, people who are more than just, let's be real, a Dick Cheney's more than a person. He's an idea. So I think the idea that we shouldn't be able to say, fuck you, rest and piss, it's like, I don't know, why not? I mean, like, I do think it is probably particularly pretty evil if you as a human being were going to one of their, say someone related to them and you, for no reason whatsoever, say a perfectly private setting, just you and them, there's no other reason, it's only to bring them harm if you're doing that. I don't know. That doesn't seem right. But when we're talking about on the public stage and we're talking about the game of ideas, no, I'm sorry. Get the fuck out of here. But whatever. I get it. To some degree, I get it's somewhat of a noble sentiment, so I'm not going to really sit here and argue too much about it, but I do think it's a little gay. Let's
So
go.
one charitable thing, which is an amazing fly caster. Amazing. He could drop a dry fly in the top of a beer bottle at like 40 feet, which if you're a dry fly fisherman, and I am, is like ridiculous. Standing in a boat. So, and I've been hunting with him. Good shot. When he wasn't drinking. He did shoot Harry Whittington in the face. But like if that had been a quail and not a lawyer from Austin, I think the quail would have been dead. Harry took quite a few pellets from the 28 that day. Tough man. By the way, lived another 20 years. But he raised a really repulsive daughter, which I think is bad. And just on the downside, I've got a bunch of daughters. They're just fine people, and I'm more proud of them than of anything in my life. And if I had a daughter, like Liz Cheney, I don't believe in suicide, but I would consider it.
I also think, well, that is obviously hilarious. I do think that kind of, funny enough, I hesitated to like really even mention it, stop to focus on it, but I'm kind of glad I did, because I think my weird little rant kind of, it's like you're the second part of his rant about Liz Cheney. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm 100% for it. Fuck Liz Cheney. And like, that is hilarious, and I agree with it, but I do think that first half of it does kind of weirdly undermine it. In a certain weird way, I get the societal taboo tap dance that seems to be at play here. It's almost like, I mean, not saying he's doing this consciously, but this idea that like, oh, we should respect people in death, yada, 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 and then say something absolutely horrible after it. It's like, but you're like, oh, but it's about Liz Cheney. And you're like, what kind of weird, because it's like, I don't know, I get that's not about him, that's about his daughter. But I don't know. I'd rather someone spit on my grave or talk ill about me than say something so horrible about my daughter. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's accurate about Liz Cheney. But if the idea is something to do with death or something to do with their memory, or I don't know. I mean, what is even, these are unsaid rules. And if like, at least for me, I'm looking for my, like, finality of me. I'd honestly rather someone downplay my memory than downplay the living situation of my children. I know, but this is all arbitrary, I guess, is kind of my point. And it's, while these obviously, I guess, technically the one doesn't undermine the other, in a certain sense it feels like it does. So, but I mean, that's part of what makes it funny. But anyways, whatever. Funny to see him comment on it and talk mad shit. I do find it a little bit weird, this need to, like, I don't know, to appeal to this societal taboo. Like, oh, I still obey this. Okay, whatever. All right, let's move on. We'll come back to Tucker here in a moment. That's why I got confused. I have another Tucker clip for this Icebreaker segment. But what we're going into now, this is we covered the other day. At the end of the episode, we kind of made a little mini segment of it, digging into some OKC stuff. Well, this is one of those moments when it's funny sometimes when you dig into documentation. Here's Wendy painting again. She's back on the grind. Seems like back into her research flow, and semi-dropping stuff on Twitter and stuff occasionally. She's at Bird Wendy too on Twitter, and she's sharing some 302s here. And I haven't read all of it so far. I'm just now seeing these. It seems like some 302 or some fantastical gay tale, but it is just kind of funny. Some of the things you do find in the research world. So I just want to take a moment for a little aside. Now, I will say this guy, while this is ridiculous, what we're about to read, there is, I think, maybe I'll have to hunt down the specific source. I thought about doing this morning as it came to mind. But there is another person who makes semi-similar crazy claims in the Oklahoma City bombing. But let's go through this. I'll present it as Wendy did. She says, do I think all this happened? And I'm presenting it as she did because I actually kind of agree with her caveat here. She says, not really, but it's a wonky story. Kind of Oliver Stone meets David Lynch meets Forrest Gump of history-ish. Filled with all kinds of his plot laughs or plot twists. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you may feel confused. But what happens at the very end will shock and disturb you. And so he realizes someone's 302 in regard to the Oklahoma City bombing. A 302 is FBI report, essentially. So I don't know. Let's go through it. It should be fun. let's go ahead and get into it. This is FBI 302. Birdwell, redacted, a dishwasher in the Dutch Kitchen restaurant in 5320 Maple Avenue, Dallas, Texas. Telephone number, yada, 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 it doesn't matter. You guys are going to call him. Was interviewed at his workplace. After being apprised of the official nature of the interview and the official identity of the interviewing agent, Birdwell provided the following information. The following information relates to Dallas lead number 570. He's a white male, born redacted, 1940, in Nacogdoches County, Texas. He's approximately 6'1" tall, and weighs 180 pounds. His social security account number is redacted. He currently boards at the home of Faye Bucket in Dallas, Texas. Telephone number, yada, yada. This house was the former residence of Lee Harvey Oswald. Obviously, we don't know if this is true. I mean, this is just what's in the 302. Maybe it was. Somebody go double check that. He is being treated for manic depression by Dr. Hobson. I didn't actually read it, by the way. If anyone, for some reason, I didn't think that was going to come into play. But 1026 North Beckley, Dallas, Texas. So if someone wants to look up and double check and see if that is correct, because I don't know if that when they're reporting this, they're just saying this is what the white male guy said. I don't know, or if that's something that the FBI agent's saying. I'm not entirely sure here, so you guys can go double check that on your own. He's being treated for manic depression by Dr. Hobson and has seen Hobson regularly for the past 5 years. Birdwell is taking the medications Prozac and Stelazine. He served in the U.S. Navy, during which he received a dishonorable discharge for homosexuality. During 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. on a Thursday during September or October 94, he was seated on the front porch of the North Beckley home. He was approached by an unknown white male who was wearing a black t-shirt and a military field jacket. The unknown male appeared well-built and clean-cut. Birdwell thought that perhaps the unknown male had been on a tour bus. North Beckley is a regular stop for tour groups who are interested in the facts and sites surrounding the assassination of President JFK and has departed from the tour. Okay, so shit, that's actually true. Or at least it sounds more and more like that is legit. That is actually, this is some sort of like tour group stop. So okie dokie. So this is where this guy boarded at, was in the former house of Lee Harvey Oswald. All right, that's something. Very interesting. All right, moving on to the next piece of this. The stranger spoke intelligently. He discussed the military and his experience in Desert Storm. He was personable and began talking about Oswald. Birdwell noted a change in his attitude as their conversation turned from Oswald to the U.S. government, to David Koresh, to the government involvement in the destruction of the Davidian compound and the loss of lives. As they talked, Birdwell relayed the information that he had been homeless in the early 90s. He had gone to Waco, Texas, in an attempt to obtain assistance from the Veterans Administration. The assistance he sought from the VA was denied him. As he sat on a bench with his luggage at his side, awaiting the next bus to Dallas, a stranger pulled up in a van and asked him if he needed a place to stay. The stranger was David Koresh. Birdwell went with Koresh to the Davidian compound and stayed for 3 weeks. Although the Davidians claimed to be a Christian group, he did not agree with Koresh's teachings and left the compound at the earliest opportunity. Birdwell has come to believe that the unknown male was Timothy Michael McVeigh. During their conversation, McVeigh referred to Birdwell by name. This startled Birdwell, who asked, "How'd you know my name?" McVeigh replied, "You've lived here a long time, and everybody knows you." McVeigh made statements about the government not being allowed to get away with what they did in Waco, Texas. He suggested revenge should be exacted from the government. He was calm one moment and angry the next. McVeigh asked Birdwell if he could borrow Birdwell's truck. McVeigh wanted to get something to eat. Birdwell would not allow McVeigh to take his truck, but offered to drive him to a restaurant. Birdwell took McVeigh to the Dutch Kitchen, a small, inexpensive diner where Birdwell is employed as a dishwasher. As they sat in the diner, McVeigh noticed the fertilizer plant across the street from the restaurant. He asked Birdwell if he'd ever seen an explosion from fertilizer. Birdwell said he had not, although he had seen a silo blow up once from green hay. So far, what I'm collecting from this, by the way, is that AI was introduced a long, long time ago, and I think just to flood the field with information, I think the FBI just made a bunch of phony fucking AI 302s, and I think a few of them for funsies. They were like, make this one McVeigh, fanfic, romantic, whatever. Anyone who watches Bob's Burgers, kind of like Tina's Journal, but with McVeigh, that feels like what's going on here. Birdwell recalled that McVeigh used the telephone at the Dutch kitchen at least twice and that he had mentioned the name Todd. McVeigh told him that his mother had deserted him at the age of 10. He had been raised by his father. McVeigh was from Kansas and was presently touring the country. He had just come from New Mexico. He said he was traveling by bus. McVeigh mentioned that his sex life was out of control. I do think the raising thing, there might be some, if I recall correctly, I think that is around the time his mother supposedly skipped town-ish, and he was mostly raised by his dad from my recollection. McVeigh asked him for a ride to Bowser Street. Birdwell took him to Bowser Street, Dallas, Texas, and McVeigh said he had meant Bowser Street, Arlington, Texas. Birdwell would not accommodate him, reasoning that the distance was too far. McVeigh asked if he had an automatic teller machine card, an ATM. Birdwell, he did not have one. McVeigh asked Birdwell to drive him to the Foxmeyer Apartments in Dallas, Texas. He claimed to have 2 military buddies who lived there and would lend him some money. McVeigh wanted Birdwell to wait for him, that he would only be a few minutes. He implied he had a sexual interest in Birdwell, and upon his return, he wanted to go home with Birdwell. Birdwell waited for an hour. However, McVeigh did not return. Birdwell departed as he had an appointment with Dr. Hobson. 3 of 4 days later, I think it probably meant 4, Birdwell was using the payphone across the street from his residence when he was approached by an unknown male. The unknown male was approximately 5'6" tall, 30 to 35 years old, with a stocky build and dark curly hair. Shit, it was me up until the curly hair. He spoke with an accent. The stranger did not identify himself and asked Birdwell if he was employed. Birdwell said he was employed. Was Birdwell interested in driving a truck from Dallas to San Antonio and from San Antonio to Fort Worth for $3,000? Although the stranger did not tell Birdwell that what he would be hauling, he believed that it was drug-related and turned the offer down. In January 95, Birdwell terminated a part-time job at a nearby mobile gas station located at Stemmons and Motor Streets. The day after the Oklahoma bombing, someone stole all the copper and lead pipes from the mobile car wash. That last sentence is funny, especially when you know a lot of the people. I don't know to what degree, and maybe if we ever get Wendy on, maybe she can give a little bit of a characterization. But there is meth angles in the Oklahoma City bombing. Like, I know Fortier, I think, was meth. I want to say there were a few people who's claimed that it, something to do with McVeigh may have, or they thought he did, or seemed like he. I forget. There's like. But anyways, my point being, it seems like there might be some meth as a component, and a lot of the sort of circles McVeigh was swimming in. I mean, albeit, very, glowingly, it still is kind of the lower end of pores, meth heads. So, like, I don't know, to some extent, these guys probably were, like, sucking each other off and doing meth together, for all I know. And what I was getting at earlier, there is another guy, I can't remember his name, who has some sort of semi-similar story about weird gay shit and him and McVeigh. And I think he had some sort of drug problem or something, too. So it's like, you kind of maybe notice a little bit of a pattern. Maybe it's nothing to it. Who knows? Maybe this is like the AI flooding the field. But it is always funny to think perhaps McVeigh was blowing dudes and doing meth in the back of all of this stuff. It adds a little extra flair of humor to the whole thing. But all right, moving on to struggle sessions. Our boy Kanye is fucking in it. Let's see what's going on.
I feel really blessed to be able to sit here with you today and just take accountability. I was dealing with some various issues, dealing with bipolar also. So it would take the ideas I had and have me take them to an extreme where I would forget about the protection of the people around me and myself. So I wanted to come and take accountability. Sometimes
guys, it ain't looking good. Drop some NHHs in the chat for the homie. Some nigga Heil Hitlers for Kanye. NHH is up. All right.
People aren't that knowledgeable about the bipolar and the cause or what causes it and the way you act when you have this disease. So it's like if you left the house and you left your kid at the house and your kid went and messed up the kitchen and messed up the garage and messed up the living room. Now when you get back, it's your responsibility because that's your child. And that's the way I look at it. It's like I gotta go clean up the kitchen, I gotta clean up the living room, I gotta clean up the garage. Yeah, and it's a big deal for me as a man to come and take accountability for all the things that I've said, and I really just appreciate you embracing me with open arms and allowing me to make amends. And this is the beginning and the first steps and the first brick by brick to build back the strong walls.
All right, I can't do this anymore. This is rough. All right, guys. Inside you, there are two wolves, and that old NHH wolf seemed like it may have slipped on over to Tucker. So let's see if you agree with what I mean. But let's go ahead and watch this.
Nick Fuentes has said a long list of very vile things.
Big time, including attacking my dad, which was the most vile of all, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I personally have watched videos of him questioning the Holocaust.
I gotta say, I don't know, this whole like bringing up the dad thing all the time, like, dog, your dad was CIA. I'm sorry. Like, I understand it's your dad. Like, I mean, I don't know. It just feels weird to bring up. Not that like Tucker hears me or anything. And like, I kind of get like why he would bring this up, but at some point, someone just needs to say it and be like, dude, I mean, I guess your dad, but like, dude, he was CIA. Like, your dad, like, is responsible for a lot of shit. Sorry. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, it just kind of is what it is, dude. Like, you can be a force for good in the world, and you can have conflicted feelings, and you can also love your father, and you can, and I'm sure there's ways that you can, see, like, how maybe it was misguided or whatever. But, dude, your dad did just straight up did propaganda for the CIA. He was essentially the non-domestic mouthpiece for the CIA. That's what he did. Voice of America. I mean, you can even dig a little bit deeper and speculate even further and get a little bit more sinister with it when it comes to his dad. And even kind of with Tucker a little bit. So it just seems a little weird. I don't know. It is what it is. But, yeah, just saying. I get annoyed with that every fucking time. Oh, my dad. Like, what did he ever say was so vile? I mean, not that I'm a regular watcher. I saw the one stream where he really dropped a lot of knowledge, stuff that most of us on the show already kind of knew about Tucker and his father and stuff. And I don't really remember anything vile being said about his father particularly. I remember it was just kind of pointing out what seems to be the truth and perhaps pointing at things that are like, hey, there also are some speculations you could get from some of this information. That's all it was. I don't remember him ever saying anything particularly vile about your father. So unless there's some sort of incorrect information being out there, which I don't think I've ever heard Tucker say that's incorrect about his dad being essentially working for the government. He acted confused about it, like as if he didn't know about it till he died, which seemed to be pretty obviously not true, but whatever. But let's keep going.
Likening it to baking cookies in the oven, and there's no way you could have gotten to 6 million. Seems to be his theory. He seems to think that we've way overstated the number of Jews killed in the Holocaust. He's ripped on poor Usha Vance in the most offensive terms. Which I mean, so what do you say to those people? Say, why didn't you raise any of that?
Do your own interview the way that you want to do it. You're not my editor. Buzz off. I mean, I don't know. You want to go yell at Nick Fuentes? I'll give you his cell. Call him and go sit and yell at him and feel virtuous or whatever. That's up to you. I got the same thing with Putin. Why aren't you yelling at him? Okay, why? So I can show that I'm a good person? I care about what my wife thinks, my children think, and God thinks, and that's it. I don't need to prove that I'm a good person to you. You may think I'm a terrible person. Okay, I'm just doing my thing, which is I want to understand what people think, and I'm committed to that, and if you don't like it, don't watch. That's my view.
All right, I thought that was a pretty solid answer from Tucker. It seems to be there's this thread going around about this idea of kind of, well, what do we do with Nick and this shifting of the Overton window and such. Kind of in a similar note, although I'm going to kind of reserve too much commentary because I do want to stew on this one a little bit. But I'll be honest, the last the clips, obviously they tie into thematically. We saw Ye getting a struggle session from some flavor of Jay. I'm not sure what that is. It doesn't look like your standard small cap. I don't really fucking know. I think I saw a resident J Master in the chat. I'm sure you could tell us what the fuck that was. Yeah. So and then obviously then I followed up kind of so you have Ye struggle sessioning, and then you have Tucker kind of doing the pretty dang perfect by the numbers. I mean, maybe there's some minor things are like, but pretty goddamn like I'd say 99% out of 100 of like how to respond to these sorts of this person, that person. Pretty damn on, like an A. Maybe you can make an argument, not an A plus perhaps, but pretty damn stellar. But kind of in a similar note, we had kind of, I think it seems like to me the theme of the episode kind of swirled around this. We have kind of, I'd say in a certain spiritual sense, I guess you could say the godfather of this show. Dave Smith, he went on my boy Clint Russell's show, and Clint managed to get this somehow get Ian Carroll, and hey, Ian, hit me up, dude, come on the fucking show. But yeah, anyways, that aside, but my boy Clint got Ian Carroll and Dave to come on the show. Now I'm reserving my thoughts because for one, I've obviously had Dave on the show multiple times, so like, hey guys, I'll be honest, I'm kind of, this is my homework to you guys. For anyone who follows this show, go over to, it's a very long episode, I'll be honest. It's like 3 hours long or something, but it's pretty interesting. I say it's pretty interesting. I hate to be a dick, but I don't know what the fuck was going on with Dave. I even put it in here. I said, pretty sure you were higher than giraffe tits, but made for good entertainment. I don't know. I think he said something or somewhere. I don't know if it's in the Twitter or in the interview itself, but said something about just drinking. I don't know, dude. I'm pretty sure dog was like fucking took an edible or something because those eyes were very red and very squinty and just like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where like you kind of, I've been a stoner long enough and I've done enough variety of different drugs where I can kind of almost like, I used to be a pillhead back in the day. But I swear I could spot a pillhead from like across fucking Walmart. Like that dude's fucking on pills right now. Like look at him, look at his eyes, look at him scratching himself. It's the same thing, you got the mannerisms. It was like I maybe it wasn't, but he even himself apologized for rambling a little bit. So he was like on a sativa, like he wasn't like drowsy or not making sense, but. He was doing in Austin. He was doing a Kamala loop. He was Kamala looping it a lot, kind of being chatty, repeating himself a lot. So I was like, I think he's just stoned, but whatever. Although I think that rambling kind of revealed perhaps a lot of kind of similar comments to be made in those veins of these last two clips I played. And so I'm just reserving thoughts. But yeah, I've had Dave on the show, so I want to think on these, doing these a little bit, maybe rewatch a little bit of the show, but I don't know. I have thoughts, perhaps maybe a little bit contentious, and I think weirdly it's kind of a long time coming. So I guess with that, I'm kind of reserving. I'll wait till Monday because I guess it gives you guys a chance to watch it. Also, kind of your thoughts as well. And then I guess there's always the off chance. Who knows? Maybe we'll get Dave to come on the show. All of you guys out there, go say, hey Dave, go on with Jose. He wants it on the morning dump, and we can kind of talk about, what the fuck's going on with that episode. Damn, my wife just walked over, and she's cheeked up right now. Baby, you have a wedgie. Looks good, though. Anyways, got sidetracked by my wife's ass. He was I promise I'm not right now, but anyways, yeah. So I want to stew on that one a little bit, think about it. You guys watch it, and we'll talk about it maybe on Monday if it's still on the mind, because maybe I can tie it into some other things. But I know I have some thoughts. But with that, guys, let's pop in the chat. Let's see what you guys gonna say. Say our good mornings, all that. So, all right, nice. Check in. Let's see. Good morning, Gordon Bombay, first in here. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Knife Safety Plus. Good morning, Taylor Spook. Good morning, Eric Petty. Finally hitting a live on time. Boats getting blown up down there is AI they're using for propaganda. Just an idea. I'm open to it. I'm like open for them. I hope they're AI because it'd be better than them murdering people, Good morning, Tower Gang NPC. Good morning, Ray. Good morning, King David. Good morning, Retardo. Good morning, Tom33. Good morning. King David says, hit that like button. Yes, please, people, hit that like button. Help a brother out. Help spread the show all about. Good morning, Fred. Good morning, Comment Mama. Good morning, Marna Mac, Knife Safety Plus says Charlie Kirk came to be a dream and told me Candace is full of shit. I do gotta say, there's been like, I swear, like 4 it came to me in a dream in the like series of Candaces, and I'll be honest, those are getting a little old, because it honestly does feel like, and I think some of those did result in like those were like, oh, I had a dream that Charlie told me this, and then somehow it would kind of tie into like some sort of minor piece of evidence, or I guess suggestion of evidence or whatever. And then it's like, did you just like, it almost, I mean, not saying this is the case, but it feels like someone like made up a dream just to like, you know, fluidly like move through segments. You know what I mean? Like, as if this idea, like, think about what this show is like, if in order to make like segues or something, like I was like, well, it came to me in a dream that like there was a man who did horrid things in a foreign country, and then he lost all his titles and got called into account to come to another country where he committed crimes. Like, I mean, obviously I'm being ridiculous, but let's say I went more vague and more symbolic. It just feels like redundant. I don't know. Maybe it's legit. I guess I'm someone who just gets annoyed by hearing about, you know, dream stuff, but I don't know, whatever. She's a woman. She's going to fall prey to woman tendencies. How many fucking times have you as a man that's married out there, assuming you are, it's just kind of your wife telling you about your dream, and you're just like, I just don't give a fuck about your fucking dream. And you can't say that. But in your head, you're like any human being tells me other dream, I'm just like, I don't fucking care. But you just do the polite thing. You go, oh, and you kind of grunt along, and that's it. All right, let's move on. Good morning, Mustache. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, M. Arlf. That's, I don't even know how to say your name. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. He's saying a reverence for death should leave one to speak ill of death lovers even when they die. It's easy. Yeah. Knife says he did a lot worse than his daughter. He sure did. Tony says all daughter goes to heaven. Comment Mama seems like an unnecessary addition to the original statement referring to the initial Tucker clip we watched. Just a low blow. Yeah, that's why I'm like, it just feels weird, kind of like undermines your initial point. So, good morning, Bug Fights. Good morning, IB, watching from Denmark. Hell yeah, dude. Good morning, Gautis. Good morning. Gautis says, I've risen out of poverty and given you money on Patreon. This is the best show for the news. Thank you. I do appreciate your support. I hope you find value in the perks I provide over there. Comment Mama says, so this guy lived at Oswald's old place, got approached by David Koresh, and had lunch with Tim McVeigh. Crazy work. Obviously, like some of those, I don't know what you can confirm, because it's kind of like, that's why I did want to like caveat that with like, this is just a 302. This is just the FBI's report of something somebody said to them. So I don't know what of that is like, you know, confirmed. It sounds like the Oswald thing was confirmed, which is wild. But the Koresh and the Timothy McVeigh thing sound like those are upheld on like, he just said it. So it's just some dude they interviewed and they wrote down what the dude said, I think. So now the Oswald thing, like, holy shit. Yeah, that is wild. Good morning, Fire Pixie. Good morning to see you in here. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Did I say good morning, JC? Good morning. Good morning, Boomer Sooner. Good morning, everyone. Marnimac, meth is a hell of a drug. I've seen people do weird ass shit when I was in that club, unfortunately. Yeah. Which, interestingly enough, there's you mentioned meth and then clubs. I know, Marnimac, you've mentioned the chat before, so I'm not saying anything out of turn. About your past and strippers and something to do with the knowing. I don't know if you were saying the strippers did meth or just maybe some of the people in the club, but I vaguely recall you saying something about meth being somewhat present in that scene. But it is a part of the Oklahoma City bombing story that they went to the strip club, which I don't know. It's not really that unique. I mean, a lot of guys go to strip clubs, so like I don't know, but you know, maybe. I mean, I don't know of any other reports of Timothy McVeigh being a regular, but we have the Godivas, I believe, strip club. Where him, Brescia, and Strassmeyer, I believe, all got identified there. And there was one of the chicks saying he said some weird shit about like, oh, you'll remember me, you know, after April 19th or whatever the exact quote is, you'll remember me type deal. And then also there's a weirdness too. There, one of the strippers, Shauna T. Ferns, died under suspicious circumstances. That's one of the less explored ones. So I haven't dug into that one enough. It's just, yeah. But fishy that one of the strippers died. I think it was supposed to be of a drug overdose, so it's also not that crazy the stripper would die of a drug overdose. So, good morning, Boomer. Oh, I said good morning to you. We got some scripture in the chat right for the morning. Nice, cool. Tom 3 says, who really thought Kanye was ideologically firm against his Jewish Israeli interests? He was just mad that Jay's in his life. Yeah. Yup. Worth 2.3 billion in poof, and yet still he is here. Still he is crying to the Daddy J. It's weird. Tucker or Ray says Tucker CIA. Candace says a doxing site had one. I think I remember that's like wasn't that? I think that was like something she had like before she even joined the or even before even got into the conservative movement. I forget. That's such old lore. But it is weird. I'll give you that. Let a pedo groom Groypers, or Fuentes let a pedo groom Groypers in his AF group. Yeah, I've heard a lot of weird stuff about the inner workings of the Groypers. It's a little bit weird, for sure. Don't really know enough to have a strong opinion. Good morning, Wise Elk. Good morning. Good morning, Umbrella Girl. Hi, Melania. Your husband is a whore. He is a bit of a whore. Tony Shin says it was a good episode, but damn, Dave needs to let conversations breathe. I think he's usually better at that. I really think he was like stoned or something, because it was like he was just repeating himself and it was kind of meandering. Like, no, hey, he still did a really good job. He's still probably a better orator than I am. So it's like, this is like me being like watching like the NFL and being like, oh, they only fucking threw however many fucking yards this time. Like, I mean, yeah, that's so yeah, I mean, he had a little bit off. He wasn't completely on his game. So Tony says, I thought for sure he was on stims. I didn't get stims from that. I mean, I got a little bit of like sativa chatty vibe is what I got. Like almost like an opiate like chatty, but not quite. But I definitely did not get opiates. That's for sure. So Marmax says instead of gaydar, it's hydar, referring to that from earlier. Yeah. Who else we got here? Tom33 says Stoner here can confirm Dave sounded a little stoned. Yeah. Boomer says it happens. Booty is distracting. Yeah. Dude, she's almost a couple times done it. Well, I have to remind her like she can if she walks by here. Usually she's sleeping during this time, but you had a weird shift in the schedule. Good morning, Che Coho. Good morning, Cultural Swine Media. Was it a POTP episode said bug fights? No, that's over on Liberty Lockdown. My buddy Clint over on his thing. Boomer Sitter says Kanye's apology was promised 2,000 years ago. Yup. Bomb says couldn't give less of a fuck about a single person's dreams. Exactly. Good morning, Justin Valentine. The Cassville Real Estate Office 302 does not get enough attention. Bill Maloney was fascinated by Robert Jackson, very observant of him. Jax was JD2, in my opinion. Yeah, I actually did. I've done a whole series, but I guess I'm waiting till whenever Wendy drops another part, I guess, because she was doing like an online, like investigative, ongoing thread. It was sort of like a little bit of a promo of her upcoming book whenever it comes out. I forget exactly, but anyways, I can, if anyone wants those threads, I have them all shared, and but I did episodes on all of them, and she goes a lot into the Bill Maloney, Robert Jack stuff a lot in there too. So yeah, that's covered in there for anyone who's interested. But yeah, you're right, that stuff is fucking weird. The Robert Jacks. So you're saying Jax was JD2? Yeah, I mean, well, I'm of the opinion there's multiple JD2s. There's the multiple John Doe 2 theory. But I get what you mean. I do think, like, yeah, he probably was. If I had to guess, I do think he is the JD2 that people think of, like the primary one. Good morning, Swedish Doom Goblin. Anonymous said the U.S. is funding terrorists in Syria. I guess they were right. Well, we have something on the foreign policy side for that. Do I remember what Maloney said the tattoo was? No, actually, I don't recall if Maloney did see a tattoo. Now that I think about it, I don't recall that. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I don't recall that off the top of my head. You very well may have. Now I am interested, because if Maloney did distinguish a tattoo, that is significant. So anyways, because yeah, the primary John Doe 2 most people think of is the dragon tattoo one. So which maybe that could have been like Guthrie, perhaps Brescia. I kind of I go back and forth. Strassmeyer is complete. Some people say Strassmeyer, which is nuts. To me. All right, let's get into foreign policy. Let's jump in. Senate votes down resolution to block Trump. from starting a war with Venezuela. Senate on Thursday rejected a resolution to stop President Trump from launching an attack on Venezuela without authorization from Congress. The resolution, led by Senators Tim Kaine, Rand Paul, and Adam Schiff, failed to pass the chamber by a vote of 49-51, which I think was closer than last time, with just 2 Republicans, Paul and Lisa Murkowski, supporting the bill. Ahead of the vote, Trump administration officials were telling lawmakers that they currently didn't have plans to bomb Venezuela. So it seems like this was the move to try to politically angle to keep the Republicans from voting the way they didn't want them to. Part of a strategy to discourage Republicans from supporting the War Powers Resolution. According to CNN, during the briefings, Trump officials still didn't rule out potential future military action. Trump officials also said they currently lacked a legal justification to launch strikes on land in Venezuela, but a U.S. official told CNN that the administration is seeking one from the Justice Department and doesn't plan to ask Congress for authorization, a clear violation of the Constitution, which requires congressional approval for the executive to launch a war. Trump sent mixed messages on the potential for a war with Venezuela, and according to the Wall Street Journal, he has expressed reservations over the idea of launching strikes in the country. But the massive U.S. military buildup in the Caribbean continues, as a U.S. aircraft carrier and its strike group are on their way to the region. There's also another story, but we won't go into that. But I just mentioned it aside. They also flew another bomber by Venezuela again, which they've been doing regularly now. I think there are like 4 or more now they've gotten to, something crazy. But to bring bombers that close to someone else's airspace over and over and over again, pretty sketchy stuff. But yeah, there's been all sorts of reports going back and forth. I don't really know what to make of this. I'll be honest, my vibe is I do feel like there probably is truth to that they are shaky behind the scenes and they're debating whether to go ahead with this or not. I know I listened to Dave DeCamp's show this morning. He does seem to think that they'll probably still end up, making a move on the next week or two. But I do have a feeling that some of the stuff we're seeing here does signal an uncertainty. So I'm kind of actually leaning a little bit towards they don't really want to do it, or they don't want to. I mean, they obviously want to do it, but they're kind of like they may not end up doing it. I'm kind of leaning towards them not doing it at this point. But I don't know. That's just my vibe. I've heard kind of other vibes already. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. Obviously it would have been better if they just blocked them probably. But all right, let's keep moving. 1 Palestinian killed after building collapses. So, that's where we're at, which is another interesting thing. I really don't know what to make. I think this is a 3rd day. I don't even think there was a someone died in Gaza story yesterday. I mean, I'd be astounded if no one died. And then now today we're at a someone died from a building collapsing, which obviously there is a thread to discuss about like how the unsafe buildings and such and like kind of unlivable standard and kind of what these people have done. But on the obviously there, I can't help but continue to mention as I have the past few days. What the fuck? I mean, we went through like months, years of probably consistently on this show, almost just like every day. Fucking 60 dead. 80 dead, 90, 120, 100, 105, 42, like on a good day, just over and over again, and it's just wild. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what to make of it, but hey, it's holding. I hope it continues to hold. I mean, obviously there are still bad things going on elsewhere in the world, but I hope this holds. And I'm going to continue to keep pointing this out because it's like kind of how do we get a read on the dynamics of the administration and stuff. And there's something here. I don't know what to make of it, but there's something. As I said before, I guess it could just be as simple as that they're going to let their technocratic overlords pick upon the corpse of Gaza, and it's as simple as that, as opposed to finishing them off all fucking, Mortal Kombat style. Instead, they're just going to draw it out and kind of, vampirism. So I guess maybe it's not that great, but like, hey, the deaths are the deaths are done or not done, but they're slowing down to an incredible degree. So that's great. And then but here's another clip from Tucker, which I do feel like kind of applies to this basic grain of thought and everything going on over in the Middle East. So here, watch this. Now, of course, the audio's out. Give me a minute. All right, here you go.
That idea is not only being challenged in our country, it's being disregarded. It's disregarded in DEI, it's disregarded in affirmative action. Identity politics is a refutation of that idea. We are awarding some people something because of how they were born and hurting others for the same reason. That is anti-Western, it's evil, and it leads, in the end, inexorably to genocide. That is the root idea behind what happened in Europe in the 40s under the Nazis. It's the root idea behind what happened in Rwanda in 1994. It's the root idea, just saying, behind what's happening in Gaza right now, where it's like, we're going to kill the kids too, we don't care, and we're going to, by the way, move everyone out because they're a people that is fundamentally opposed to us. Yeah, well, I'm not for that. Sorry, because that's not the Western understanding of justice. We punish the guilty alone. We do not punish the innocent. Period. And that's not racism, and in fact, it's the answer to racism. It's the answer to anti-Semitism. It's why anti-Semitism is wrong. It's why racism is wrong. No, you're not better than me. No, you're not worse than me because of how you were born. You're the same as me because we're both created by God. Period. So the whole idea of thinking of people as members of tribes, any tribe, including...
This right here, here's another thread that Tucker's been on about lately, and I kind of want some to challenge him on this. He actually did it on Dave's show, and I'm not at all saying this is like a knock to Dave. I actually was like, it wasn't even till like, I understand too early in the moment why no one would, or just kind of like why you would not either not want to or why you wouldn't in the moment, because it was kind of a little confusing, and I think it was near the end or something. And it's also just kind of like it's a whole separate other topic that's, like, and you've really already got someone kind of going down the right road, but he's been on this fixation, which he's kind of tying this into, which I don't know, maybe you guys agree with this, maybe you don't. I guess maybe this is where, I guess perhaps you could say I'm not a nationalist or whatever, but it seems like Tucker's kind of rolling out this conception of like this America first, this, when I guess I'm not American, I'll be honest, I guess by the sort of thing Tucker's laying out, I'm not America first. I'm me first. I'm my family first. I'm my community first. I'm my state first. Like in these orders is what I am. And this idea that like this tribe idea, which you said, which has kind of been this like sort of argument, I guess, against the Judaism angle and kind of against, I guess, sort of what seems to be Fuentes' argument, I guess, whatever, I don't know, is God, what is it? Damn, I totally lost my thread of thought. What was he talking about? Oh, the tribalism thing. He's using it as like his sort of argument against the whole Jewish thing. Like, this is why it's an issue, and it is. The idea that there's these that they're loyal to their tribe as opposed to their. And I actually think it kind of makes more sense, frankly, to be more loyal to your tribe than to your larger body, whatever that tribe may be. Now, it depends on what the tribe is, I guess. Like, do I think that, because I guess this is kind of then maybe the fault in like kind of, I don't know, how do I put this? Because I'm not saying that like say Dave Smith should all of a sudden start like completely holding the bag for Israel or something because he's a Jew, or that's like definitely not what I'm saying. Just how do I conceptualize it? If that is something you identify with, though, and if you do hold that, I guess I kind of understand why someone would value that more than a large national body, is what I'm trying to understand. And so maybe there's almost more credence to the Nick line of thinking and just being aware that like, okay, well, they might think that way. Like, that's all there is to it. And so I don't know, it's really not that big of a deal. I don't know. I'm also like kind of a little bit against somewhat sort of the egalitarian messaging. I'm kind of been seeing a little bit about this, like, oh, and this is why I find, racism, thisism, thatism, to be whatever, because we're all the same. No, we're not all the same. Like, it's like, now, am I saying you should take someone's African American and therefore this? No. Obviously, I do think racial whatever differences are a very, 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 very low indicator of, generally speaking, probably of differences. I mean, generally speaking, like, I don't think necessarily because someone's black or this or that, but it is different. We're born under different circumstances. I don't know. I don't know. I kind of get in a sense, like in a legal standpoint, perhaps, but I don't know. I don't buy into egalitarian nonsense.
My tribe,
we're not the same. That doesn't mean we have to put a huge I don't know, value on that. I don't think I particularly put a huge value on race, but it is like I'm also not going to act like it doesn't exist. Or all other sorts of different components. But I don't know, whatever. I don't know, maybe I'm rambling here, but I do think it kind of matters. And I think perhaps like this understanding kind of then gives, I guess, a little more credence to the Nick Fuentes line of thinking, which I don't even think Nick is necessarily saying that, like, if you're a Jew, therefore this. I think really what a lot of people are just struggling with, that, like, if you are someone who does put a lot of stock into that identity, that I guess it makes sense for people, especially operating in the aggregate, to kind of include that in their thinking, their base level biases. Like this guy is Jewish and he's making a big deal out of it, and I don't know much else about it. I can make certain assumptions, which is kind of, I remember Thomas Sowell had similar, thoughts when it came to race and stuff, that, like, you can kind of make certain base assumptions, and obviously, like, we all have to make certain base assumptions operating through life. And you don't always have the time to come to a full understanding of every individual that you operate with. So we see, hey, this person's walking with his chest up, his shoulders back. He's got his pants on. He's wearing a nice suit. You make certain assumptions, and this is how we operate through the world. And I honestly feel like just the assumption here is if someone's making a big deal out of their Jewishness, it's not that crazy that perhaps they would operate politically with that thing in mind. Which, I don't know. And I don't necessarily think you actually... I actually do think it's a lot of... I'm of the opinion that a lot of people who do take the Jewish identity, they're doing it foolishly. That's kind of how my kind of perspective, I guess. And that's kind of what happens here, because it's like, what does it even mean? Which is kind of when I was talking like Matt Wolfson, like, what does it even mean? Like, not to throw any flack at him or anything, but it's like, he's a Catholic. Like, what does that mean? His dad's Jewish. What does this mean? It means you have. What does it mean that, like, it's no different than being like, oh, my grandpa was a Mormon. Okay, cool. Like, you don't call yourself a Mormon. I don't know. It's just weird. But let's keep going.
Facia immoral, and yet it is the operating idea behind so much of our politics. And I reject it. I reject it when it manifests as anti-Semitism. I reject it when it manifests as anti-white racism, which has been pretty common. I know we're not supposed to say it, but it's real. But I'm not mad about that just because my kids are white, which they are. I'm mad about that because the idea is immoral, it's anti-Christian, and that is the destruction of the West. And so when I see these people like, we're defending Western, when Mark Levin's like, we're defending Western civilization, or Randy Fine, who's like, yeah, we just have to kill every Palestinian because they're Palestinian so we can defend Western civilization. I'm like, no. You're the enemy of Western civilization because collective punishment is the enemy of Western civilization. Period.
I will say his end there, though, like 100% nailed it. I agree 100% with his, like, where he finishes at is that, like, this is 100% against Western, like, and I'm 100% against collective guilt. Like, none of those things I said before mean therefore. Like, you operating within the world, looking at certain identities or certain observable facts and, applying certain biases based on your lived experience, that's just being rational. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean you're applying guilt. Like, you're not, like, I guess in a certain sense, I guess you could say that. You could be like, oh, well, now this person has to live with the assumptions of all these people that look at him. I'm like, well, fucking tough. Get over it. I'm sorry. But yeah, yes, collective guilt obviously is bad. Like, obviously, like, you just thinking, like, having certain biases, whether they're logical or not, does not make it okay to then, like, to apply some sort of, try to expropriate them, because of some sort of, appeal to criminal justice. Like, yeah. Anyways, let's roll a chat. I'm curious what you guys have to think. I rambled a lot. Actually, no, I'm retarded. I was thinking that was the morning one. We still have more foreign policy to go through. But yeah, let's keep moving. Israeli West Bank raids leave Palestinian boy and grandmother dead. We won't go through this story entirely, but yeah, we've been seeing, we covered the other day some of the increasing attacks going on over in Palestine, and over particularly in the West Bank. So now that we've seen basically nothing going on in Gaza yet, we're seeing a pretty crazy increase in attacks going on over in the West Bank. So something to be aware of. Also, at the same time, Israel's escalating strikes in Lebanon as Hezbollah threatens retaliation. We've kind of intermittently popped into the going-ons of the ceasefire deal going on with Israel and Lebanon, which has been an absolute joke. But now it seems like Hezbollah's had enough of it. They actually haven't engaged at all this entire time. But they're getting sick of the shit. Israel's long-threatened escalation of their attacks in Lebanon seems to have begun in earnest on Thursday with massive numbers of strikes reported against several towns and villages in the country's south. The IDF issued evacuation warnings for at least 5 sites in southern Lebanon. It's claiming as they do that everything they are attacking is Hezbollah infrastructure. Early indications are that a substantial number of civilian casualties have occurred. The most recent toll has 1 confirmed killed and 9 wounded, though those tolls are expected to rise. So we have them picking up their strikes over here and still pushing for Hezbollah to be ousted by the Lebanese government, but it ain't looking like it's happening. Just also at the same time, the U.S. Aiming to get a military base going in Damascus, which is in Syria. Here's Shara over from his UN Assembly appearance. They're getting ready for him to come again for, I believe, some sort of other UN or some sort of something or other. They're actually having to drop sanctions as a result because he's been designated terrorist by certain groups. So, oh no, we got a terrorist coming, and although we want to put a military base there, so we got to drop these sanctions, and we got to be cool with them now. So, with all the goings-ons in Syria, it feels like it explains a lot. Some of the weirdness, you're like, oh, okay, because it actually does weirdly feel like there was a little bit of a rift in Syria between the United States and Israel, because Israel's been pretty fucking shitty to them this entire time. And not that we've been like great to them, but we've been kind of weirdly supportive. So like kind of be like, come on. And essentially almost like plying Syria along to just suck up with what Israel's doing to them. And now we have a military base. So it kind of makes sense. You're like, oh, I see. Seems like we were trying to angle for a military base and Israel was being Israel and almost probably fucking it up over and over again. But they managed to pull it off. Trump's also under pressure to ditch nuclear plans as Putin preps for more. So we're getting these reports. Everyone's urging him behind the scenes. And also in front of the scenes, we got more than a dozen U.S. senators on Wednesday urged President Donald Trump to abort plans for resumption of nuclear weapons testing. Because we covered yesterday, we also got Putin going, okay, well, you're going to do it, then we're going to do it. And it seems like this may have all started just from a misunderstanding from Trump thinking they were doing it when they were in fact not doing it, and now they're talking about doing it. So this is the nonsensical world we live in. Don't touch it. No, I'm going to touch it. Oh, he's touching it. I'm not touching it. You're touching it. This is the reality of our world and our existence. And at the same time, we have Russian forces making rapid gains in key Donbass cities. So it doesn't look like that's coming to an end anytime soon. All right, let's pop in, say our good mornings, and then we'll get into the main topics. Went a little too long in this introductory stuff. Justin Valentine says there's an eagle with wings spread. For those who recall earlier, we were talking about the Robert Jacks John Doe 2, or maybe not necessarily John Doe 2. Maybe some people would consider him like a John Doe 3. I did not recall that they saw an eagle with wings spread, which you said is military insignia. It is, but it's also like... Actually, never mind. I go back. I don't know. I was going to say it's also like a super duper common like American traditional tattoo, the eagle with wings spread. It is also a very common military insignia, but I'd say in modern day, maybe in the 90s. I don't know, because it's hard to say like how art transforms. I wasn't really like into tattoos or art in the 90s. So an eagle with wings spread on someone in the 90s. I don't really know if that would necessarily be... Well, they're totally military. I don't know. I think American traditional was pretty popular in the 90s, now that I think about it. Because you see American traditional tattoos, those are very common for 90s guys. And I don't think that necessarily... The more I think about it, the more I'm like, no, I've seen tons of guys with that American traditional eagle wing spread. And it doesn't necessarily have to be military insignia. But it is interesting, though, that he has a military... That is a thing. I don't know. I'll have to try to keep that in my noggin. And let me roll through, see what else you guys got to say, and then we'll get into the main stuff. Good morning, JP6 Gunner. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Swedish Jim Goblin says, can you do an in-depth report of the congressman that said U.S. taxpayer money worth $700 million went to Boko Haram in Africa? I haven't heard about that. If someone can, I'll try to remember that. I'll be honest, I'll probably forget. So if you're on Twitter or if you're on anywhere or that I'm on, tag me or whatever. I definitely would try to remember to cover that in one of the future shows, because that would put it in a place where, oh shit, now I'm invested in this Christian genocide or whatever. Although I'm not entirely sure if it's Christian per se. I don't fucking know. I'm open it to being. There's a lot of people dying and it's bad. And if our government's giving them money, not good. Justin, you're saying Google Egypt Special Forces or Thunderbolt Forces. Go to images. You'll see the eagle and the serpentine dragon. Oh, are you implying because I know John Doe 2 is known for having a dragon, and then so are you implying that like perhaps if he had both? I don't know. That might be a little too. I mean, eagles and dragons, well, those are just super common artistic motifs. I don't know. I just, like, let me see. Do I have an eagle? I have an owl. There's all sorts of symbolism you can derive for that. Do I have an eagle? I'm surprised I actually don't have an eagle. No, I don't have an eagle anywhere. Do I have a dragon? No, I actually don't have a dragon. My wife has a dragon. I don't think she has an eagle. So, but I'm just saying, it's like, if you're someone with a lot of tattoos, you're like, I'm kind of surprised I don't have either of those. So, I don't know. Not that I'm like running the bag or not that I'm like trying to cover for John Doe 2. I don't know if I'd say they're definitely probably more common among military, although tattoos aren't even really, are definitely already kind of more common around military. Okay. I'm kind of surprised more of you guys don't have some thoughts about some of my sort of weird asides there. But okay, whatever. Maybe you guys will get into it, or we'll have some thoughts later. I know sometimes you're a little bit back. Justin says the eagle was on his bicep. The dragon was on the upper forearm. Yeah, and I think the dragon was like fucking some gay-ass tribal shit too, wasn't it? So it's like just some generic 90s design. So, all right, whatever. Let's get into... point being is, I don't know. I'd have to see the tattoos to really be like, oh, those are super. But like eagle, dragon... I mean, I don't know. That's... For one, those are super symbolic things to begin with. They're in so many different art things. There's so many different ways you can take it. I wouldn't go too far with that. But, all right, let's get into... now, I will just... A little bit of a... I do want to warn you guys, this is a dump. So we are going to follow up with a big thread into Melania Trump's past, but I haven't vetted it. This is a dump. This is where we go through stuff together. So just saying before we can do it, I don't know. We could dump it halfway through, go, this is fucking stupid. But it'll be a fun dive together either way. But to kind of set the stage and what we're talking about, here's a clip from Fox from I think like yesterday was this? Yesterday. Apparently they had a Patriot Awards over there, and here's them giving an award to Edon Alexander, who is whatever. I'll just play the clip. You guys see.
Before you go anywhere. We actually have a special message from Edon.
Good evening. My name is Edon Alexander. I am so honored to accept this recognition from the Fox Patriot Awards. Serving Israel and standing with America remains the greatest privilege of my life. First, I want to thank President Trump for your leadership and for standing with Israel and the hostages. Your support makes this moment possible, and I am deeply grateful. To my family, I want to thank you for never giving up on me. And to the soldiers still fighting and the families of the fallen, I carry your sacrifice with me every day. Thank you, and may God bless you all.
All right, now for those who don't remember who Edon Alexander was, I know it's a little bit of a blast from the past, but this is he was one of the IDF soldiers who was taken captive by Hamas, and he was kind of near the end there, one of the final ones. He's a U.S. citizen, and so there became this like interesting dynamic between the Israel and between the United States, where we were kind of both, where we were trying to get hostages back, and we're making a big deal, particularly out of this one because he's a U.S. citizen. And then there was also some weirdness where it seems like Israel may have been almost going out of their way to try to find his location to bomb it because they were worried. Like we were having like behind the scenes like diplomacy going on with Hamas and all sorts of like upsettedness coming from the Israel side of things, and it was a whole drama to do. And here we are now. After all of this, after the shit that he probably went through. And here he is giving what appears to be a hostage fucking video with just a nice background. That's what it felt like to me. Yeah, and it makes it, to me, this is particularly pretty fucking gross. Because he says, serving Israel and standing for America remains the greatest privilege of my life. And he's being given the honor award at the Patriot Awards. And for one, like, how the fuck do you stand for America by serving Israel? Go fuck yourself. But I guess kind of following on this, Melania got one too. Seems to be these threads of these not so American, not so patriotic people getting these things. This bitch make fuck and become patriot, I guess. But here's Anthony Andrews. So I don't even follow this guy. Just one I found particularly interesting. Pretty lengthy thread that we're about to go through. I have no idea. This could be a mind-broken turbo lib. This could be one of ours. I have no idea what we're going to get. Now, to kind of start with, it says Fox is recognizing Melania as Patriot of the Year. There's public info that points to the fact Melania was groomed from a young age as a Red Sparrow. This is not hyperbole. In the late 80s, she may have been training in East Germany while Putin was working for the Stasi. Now, this sounds ridiculous on his face. I'm not gonna lie. You start here, this is your injection point, you go, what the fuck? But I will say for my digs, the little bit I've dug about, you look at Melania, the little bit of like where she came from, how she got here, some of the dubious connections there. You're like, I made that joke about make fuck now Patriot. Well, make fuck now First Lady. It seems like a lot about this woman's life seems to center around make fuck do thing. Just kind of basic formula over and over again. We've covered. She's got weird connections to Epstein. There's a weirdness. There's weirdness here, and we're gonna dig a little bit into it. Also on the Epstein Russia thread angle here, we just covered what was it? Breaking Points, not Breaking Points. Drop Point News on here recently, illustrating the absurd connections between Epstein and Putin, like ridiculous, to where Epstein's turning down meetings with Putin. Like that's the sort of level. And I know we've seen other times people have joked about how like he would turn down anyone under $1 billion and like with this almost like pretentious air. You're like, well, this dude was turning down world leaders for meetings in like serious ways. Like essentially, I know in that reporting at one point, Putin tried to get a short meeting with him, and the response was essentially like, no, you're gonna set aside the time and the privacy if we're gonna have a meeting. And you're like, okay, somebody is a little entitled. Here's a few pictures, Melania. Here's her. There's Melania, Trump, and Ghislaine. Hey, whatever, just pictures. Here's Trump, Melania, and what's his Naomi? I forget her last name. Some major supermodel. Ghislaine. I know this one black chick. She's actually she's a very major name in modeling. I just can't think of her name. But she is kind of always swimming around, surprisingly, these circles. She shows up a lot. I just find it weird. Here's one with Prince Andrew and Trump and Melania, and you see Ghislaine in the back. You see Jeff in the back as well. It's funny. I think Trump has actually tried to say he hadn't met with Andrew before. Whatever. Here is a newspaper clipping showing a young Melania Trump during a children's fashion show while she was growing up in Slovenia. So she was doing fashion shows in Slovenia. Whatever the fuck Slovenia is. Here's a young Melania Trump. Okay, so here's, I guess this one right here is, I think, the Slovenia. So this is when she's a little bit, it's not this one. So this isn't the young one. I think this is the one they're referring to when she was it looks more like a teenager. So not this little itty bitty kid. So this one right here is a young Melania Trump photographed her nanny. In her memoir, she describes her family having a fleet of cars and being able to afford vacations despite living under communist rule. Okay. All right, her father was a member of the Communist Party in then Yugoslavia, and their family lived a life of luxury not afforded to many. She herself said they had multiple sports cars and lived in a house, not a typical apartment. Pictures exist taken by Slovenia photographer Stane Jurko when she was 16, which have circulated for years. That was in 1986, when left her hometown to go to school in Ljubljana and subsequently dropped out to pursue modeling. This is where she disappears for about 3 to 5 years. What is this? So, what this is from? This is some excerpt from some article. Melania's post that goes to Slovenia. Before she was first lady, she was Melania Navs, her hometown, Sevnica, Slovenia. Communist era records are sealed. So she came out of like communist era stuff. So this is why we have it's pretty grainy, her past. In 91, Melania met Victor, a Czech photographer. They lived together in Milan. Victor introduced her to high society parties where spies recruit models as sleeper assets. Stasi files label her a person von Interesse, not criminal, just observed. This is from vocal.media, whatever that is. Here's more. This is before. Oh, here's the same thing. They accidentally. Never mind. In 2005, a Slovenia tabloid published photos of a boy named Lorenz, born 92. He had Melania eyes. The story died in 40. Oh, that one seems shit. It seems dumb. All right, here's some photos of her. As a kid, it looks a lot different than the fucking blow up doll she's become. So she doesn't pop back into the scene, according to available public docs, such as news stories and magazine interviews, till 92. This is likely when she had first officially connected with Zampoli, Mifsud, Casablancas, and Brunel. Now, the Zampoli stuff, that stuff I've covered before. So this is, and the Casablancas. So, and yes, you've heard of all of them because of Epstein Trump. Zampoli is the one that I think we'll probably hone in on. That is the Epstein associate who, from my understanding, is how Melania got to the States. I believe it was some sort of like Einstein something for visa or some shit, because I guess she's a genius, which I'm sure they'll get into. What exactly she was doing from 87 to 91. Keep in mind the Berlin Wall fell in 89 and USSR in 91. Putin had been sent to work in Dresden with the Stasi. I'll leave it to you to do web searches of some of this, and of course we'll share context and screenshots. She speaks German also. Here we go. So it's in the 80s. It says during his time as a KGB officer in Dresden, East Germany, Vladimir Putin worked as a liaison officer of the Stasi, East German's secret police, a role that gave him a close working relationship with the Stasi. Putin, who was in Dresden from 85 to 89, was granted similar rights and powers as Stasi officers in the Soviet Union by a formal agreement in 78, as noted by the BBC. I have found 2 public articles published in 2 different countries, Italy and Iran. Keep in mind, Italy is a key nation because Zampoli is Milanese. He sold his father's company to ex-Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi. His father died when Paolo was 18, and John Casablancas convinced him to sell. Here's part of this article. It says, while Melania walked on the catwalks of Europe in the mid-90s, Zampoli was seeking models for his New York agency. He interviewed her in Milan, Italy. Very cute, very serious. I asked if she wanted to come work in New York. She said, I already worked several years here in Europe, in Germany, in France, and Milan. I'd love to try a new market. My American dream, the American dream. Zampoli remembered her telling him. Zampoli helped her, not only helped her make the leap to the catwalks of the United States and obtained her work visa, but he also introduced her to Donald Trump in 1998. He says, let me remind you, everything I share I found publicly or I've sourced the info based on engagement. I have 2 talents, finding info on the web and social media and engaging very high-profile people who have eventually exposed themselves directly to me because ego. If you didn't know, Paolo Zampoli is who brought Melania to the United States. In the early 90s, Zampoli was already associated with John Casablancas, Jean-Luc Brunel, and Jeffrey Epstein going back likely a decade. Melania worked illegally on a tourist visa until 96, HB 1201. And then here you go. This is just some Google stuff that shows their connections. Paolo Zampoli ran ID Models, New York-based agency. It was known for recruiting models from Eastern Europe and Latin America. Moved in social circles with Trump, Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell. Zampoli and Epstein reportedly attempted to purchase the Elite modeling agency together in 2004. While Zampoli was associated with Epstein and Maxwell, sources indicate no direct criminal ties have been found. Then Jean-Luc Brunel was a modeling agency who co-founded Karen Models and later MC2 Model Management, which is reportedly funded in part by Jeffrey Epstein. He's also one who died under very suspicious circumstances. All right, let's keep going. Zampoli procured an Einstein visa for her in 2001. That's the one that's like essentially like I forget. I think it's supposed to be literally for like geniuses or some shit. I've read Zampoli was the visa guy in the international human trafficking operation. Brunel, Casablancas, Mifsud, Epstein all had their roles too. Brunel was Epstein in 2022. Casablancas died of cancer. Mifsud is missing. By the way, Casablancas is who Trump gave, not gave, I guess would be the wrong way, that essentially, how do I say this? Who he contracted, I guess, for his daughter's modeling when she was 14. Keep in mind, too, they were supposedly buddies, Trump and Casablancas. So you'd think he'd know, these well-known things about him. For example, one notable thing about John Casablancas is he was known for living with a 16-year-old. So it's pretty open about his pedophilia. That's the person that Trump gave his daughter to go model to at 14. There's some pretty spicy photos out there that make me fucking uncomfortable of his daughter when she was underage. So I know these are the circles we're talking about. That's your fucking president of the United States. Pretty gross. So anyways, so these are these people, and these are the circles they swim in. So Zampoli just had his son's mother deported to Brazil using ICE. He was appointed special representative for global partnerships. Oh yeah, I forgot that too. This guy right here too. This guy who this shady connections and seems to be he's got all of these people. Once you start looking around at all these people swirling around these circles, these Epstein, this Trump, like all these people in this milieu, there's a bunch of them that got different weird political positions. Pretty weird. So yeah, you see this guy who got his son's mother deported to Brazil from using ICE. He was appointed special representative for global partnerships. He had previously been an ambassador for Dominica and board member of Ghislaine Maxwell's Terra Mar project since 2012. He's been a fixture at MAL and WH. So yeah, here you go. Here's the guy. For those curious what he looks like. Mifsud is not only considered a Russian asset, he knew Simona Mangiante years before she met George Papadopoulos. George lying about Mifsud and other things is why he was convicted. Of course, pardon too. He and Simona are fixtures of the White House and MAL. They now work for Russia Today. As I stated, Melania disappeared in 87, reappeared in 92 after Germanizing Melania Novs to Melania Canas, and immediately comes to the United States, clearly tied to the most notorious human and child traffickers over the last several decades. She likely spent years working with Putin. Here's from another article from NURnews.ir. Melania was noticed in these searches among the beautiful girls of Eastern Europe. An unknown figure, she was introduced to Casablanca and Epstein through a man named Paolo Zampoli. From now on, in order for Melania to become international, it was necessary for her to become famous worldwide in collaboration with world-famous brands in France and Italy. Zampoli started the ID Models Agency in the 90s to attract European girls and coordinated Melania's work in Italy with Joseph Mifsud, who had close ties to Trump and Epstein. In 92, with the support of Zampoli and Mifsud, Jana magazine published photos of Melania with 12 beautiful young girls, which eventually selected Melania as the top 3 models of the year. The yellow press immediately published reports and photos of Melania's personality and achievements. After gaining fame in Italy and France in 95, Melania arrived in New York on an H-1B visa and lived with a sports photographer named Matthew Atanian and later with Epstein in an apartment where he worked as a photographer. The apartment was actually owned by Elite Model and photographed teenage girls exported from Europe to evaluate modeling. There's very little information, if any, about Melania's life during the years I discussed, but there's verifiable decades-old info that shows her being connected to highly nefarious people. I had also previously discussed the possibility of an unknown daughter. All right, I'm going to move on now from this. I think we've kind of, it does start getting really, it's actually basically over, but I I don't think it really goes too much out. I think that's kind of the crux of it. We'll move on from here. What the fuck? Sorry, 1 second. My wife's trying to... Sorry, that was confusing. My wife coughed over there, and I thought she was trying to get my attention. So I'm like, what the fuck do you want? Sorry. That was weird. All right, let's move on from that one. Go check out the rest of the thread at Anthon. God, what a fucking awful... I'm sorry. This guy needs to fix his Twitter name. Anthony Andrews is the name, but it's at ANTHON7. So it's like he added a 7 after Anthon. Anthon7Y, so the Y in Anthony, and then Andrews. You need to fix your name, dude. That's rough. But if you want to go check out the rest of the thread, it kind of goes into some other minor little tangents. But just in, as of yesterday, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew, ordered by House Democrats to appear before Congress in Washington, D.C. for questioning his links to pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. So let's read through this. All right. This is from Congress. It says, we write to seek your cooperation in the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform's investigation into Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking operations. The committee is seeking to uncover the identity of Mr. Epstein's co-conspirators and enablers and to understand the full extent of his criminal operations. Well-documented allegations against you, along with your long-standing friendship with Mr. Epstein, indicate that you may possess knowledge of his activities relevant to our investigation. In the interest of justice for the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, we request that you cooperate with the committee's investigation by sitting for a transcribed interview with the committee. It's been publicly reported that your friendship with Mr. Epstein began in 1999 and that you remained close enough and after his 2008 conviction for procuring minors for prostitution. It has been reported that you traveled with Mr. Epstein in his New York residence, the Queen's residence at Balmoral, and to Mr. Epstein's private island on the U.S. Virgin Islands, where you have been accused of abusing minors. This close relationship with Mr. Epstein, coupled with a recently revealed 2011 email exchange in which you wrote to him, "We are in this together," further confirms our suspicion that you may have valuable information about the crimes committed by Mr. Epstein and his co-conspirators. As you are well aware, Virginia Roberts Giuffre made several allegations that you abused her when she was just 17 years old. In her 2021 lawsuit, Ms. Giuffre alleged that she was... that she was forcibly lent out to you for sexual purposes on 3 separate occasions. In addition to these allegations, flight logs document several instances in which you were a passenger on Mr. Epstein's plane between 1999 and 2006, while his criminal activities were ongoing. In response to a subpoena issued to the Epstein estate, the committee has identified financial records containing notations such as a massage for Andrew that raise serious questions regarding the nature of your relationship with Mr. Epstein and related financial transactions. In her posthumous memoir, Ms. Giuffre expressed a fear of retaliation if she made allegations against you, and writes that the settlement agreement you executed with her restricted her to 1-year gag order designed to protect the Crown's reputation. Recent reporting confirms those fears, as law enforcement authorities in the United Kingdom have launched an investigation into allegations that you asked your personal protection officer to dig up dirt for a smear campaign against Ms. Giuffre in 2011. This fear of retaliation has been a persistent obstacle to many of those who were victimized in this fight for justice. In addition to Mr. Epstein's crimes, we are investigating many such efforts to silence, intimidate, or threaten victims, and are interested in any avenues that may further shed light on these activities. Given these recent events and the appalling allegations that have come to light from Ms. Giuffre's memoir and other reliable sources, the committee requests that you make yourself available for a transcribed interview with the committee and provide insight into the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirators. Due to the urgency and gravity of this matter, we ask that you provide a response to the committee's interest by November 20th, 2025. So we should, within the next couple of weeks, hopefully have some sort of response, or at least not have a response by that point, so we'll kind of know. Obviously, I don't think the United States Congress has the ability to compel a foreign national to come. I do find it interesting, the timing of this. It is right after he loses his title, so they got him kind of in a... While they may not have any legal ability to draw him in, there may be a reputational ability to do so, considering where he is right now and all that. And there may even be like kind of a push from the royal family, perhaps, although maybe there'd be a push the other way of like, you need to shut the fuck up. Either way, this is interesting. This is an interesting development. Oops, let me click on that for sure. All right, let's roll through the chat. I got a little long in the tooth on one of the other segments earlier. We'll finish off with my last segment of a grab bag of glowy stories, kind of all over the place of just fishy stuff. I'm not sure if we'll get through it because I didn't manage my time wisely today, but we may not get to the Jays and the horse like I mentioned, but I think we should be able to get through just about everything else. Let's roll through the chat. Long time out listener says Edon rejoined the IOF after being freed, maybe even IDF or maybe IOF something else, but that's interesting. I didn't know that. Emery Lawrence says traitor. I agree with that sentiment. Swedish Jim Globbin says Melania's jaw and huge. Yeah. Comment Mama says when you start seeing the patterns, it's hard not to notice. Long time listener says Melania was groomed by Epstein, maybe not by Putin and the KGB. She's from Yugoslavia, which had not so great relations with the USSR. Yeah, I'll say that the Putin thing does seem to be a stretch. I mean, I did abandon the thread before I finished it, but I don't think it didn't really. It started off with like, oh, there's these dubious connections or whatever. I guess there are. I mean, sort of, not really. They didn't really establish any Putin connection that I recall. But it was weird. I think it was. I'm glad we went through the thread. I think it was interesting to kind of look through her backstory. I mean, it's kind of interesting to think about the fact too that I guess the position that Putin had during that time. I mean, I don't know. I'm not necessarily saying there's a connection there, but it is interesting that is the waters that Putin was swimming in. Just kind of he was kind of clicked in with the Stasi on a political level like that, on a lower political level. Just kind of interesting. It's interesting to see how these people socialize and kind of mingle. So, but yeah, it is kind of interesting to see her backstory and kind of how she moved through these modeling, agencies and stuff. So, Wiseluck says Melania is a trained handler, in my opinion. Yes, very much. Maybe. I don't know. Mama says recruit them, pass around, give them an Einstein visa, marry them to powerful men. Yup. That did seem to be the move. Naomi Campbell. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Let me see. Mama says a lot of elite parents pimp out their children. Just saying. Wasn't it Young? I think it was Young himself that that was one of those weird things Candace went down, those weird things where he reported that the elites had an absurd degree of particularly with the women is what he was referring to. Is there was a particular absurd amount of signs of abuse, sexual abuse, and from a very young age. I don't know. That's a weird thread. I don't know. So maybe one of you guys in there know what the fuck I'm talking about. But yeah. Gerald says Jose is just jealous, says she has better hair than him. I don't know. She's kind of gross hair, honestly. She has that old person kind of. I mean, there's some where it looks better than others, but I don't know. She looks gross to me. Gerald says Melania is actually a good person. Everything Jose is saying is because he's jealous of how beautiful and smart she is. Yeah. Cobble, Melania work that jaw, says Swedish Doom Goblin. Well, you're being hurtful today, Gerald. I don't know what that's all about. I mean, bug fights is kind of funny using ice. I will say this: the Zampoli move of getting rid of your ex-wife with fucking ice, pretty hilarious. So, $7,000 hit the account to bash Melania's taunts on water rights. Good morning, Cultural Swine Media. It says Tara Marilago. Mustache says Putin is a Jew. His grandfather was a cook for Lenin, his mother a Jew. Okay, that's interesting. Fire Pixie says he will never sit before Congress and talk. You're not. I lean towards that. I do, but even him not talking is it shakes things up. So it's interesting. Either way, it's an interesting move. Good morning, Real John Doe. Good to have you joining the show. Good to have you here. All right, let's get into the grab bag of glowy stories that I told you we were going to do. Let's start off with the pipe bomber stuff. Here's Steve Baker. This is an update on the J6 pipe bomber report. It says, after abundance of counsel from trusted parties within and outside the government, we've hit the pause button so those interested parties can have some time to look at the J6 pipe bomber evidence. There are things they need to do internally. This is a real story. When it breaks, it's going to be a huge story. There are lots of moving parts, but we need to give them time to do what they need to do, and I know everyone is waiting. Believe me, tensions are running high. There have been a lot of sleepless nights the last 2 weeks, but this is a game changer, and we don't want to do anything to jeopardize that right now. I was up at 3:30 a.m. preparing the video clips for this release on this Monday's Glenn Beck program, or this morning's. Contrary to what so many ex-complainers would say, this wasn't a hype stunt for views and clicks. And no, the government didn't silence us. Glenn and I both were pretty amped up to put it all out this morning, and we were both very disappointed when the decision to postpone was made. The government's investigation of the J6 pipe bombs was going nowhere just 2 weeks ago. Today, I can tell you that has all changed. A bunch of people got pretty spun up yesterday. Hang tight, it's all coming. Okay, shut the fuck up, you stupid fucking faggot. That's all I gotta say. I don't know, this is stupid. This is fucking stupid. It was stupid yesterday, it's stupid today. Fucking tell me when you have something. Suck a fat fucking cock. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, this is so goddamn dumb. I really don't know what to say other than that. They came with nothing. There's still nothing. There was always fucking nothing. I mean, maybe. Okay, sure, to be fair. Perhaps there's some grain of whoa behind there that we haven't gotten. But we fucking haven't gotten it. It was yesterday we covered this, and it was, well, I've got some glowy friends who say the gate analysis is 94% accurate. I don't fucking care. I don't even know what the fuck that is. I don't think anyone really knows what the fuck that is. Does anyone in this chat know what the fuck that is? Are you really being like, convict now? Like, for example, kind of do this. I mean, I guess to be fair, these guys haven't gotten the gate analysis. And what a fucking joke all this is. In all this too, we got these people. We've already got everyone. I've seen all these stupid things online. Oh, it's this person, it's that person. Well, I don't know. It could be these fucking people. Here's Officer Lou, less lethal Instructor Kirkhoff, departed the Capitol Police roughly 6 months after January 6th. Colleagues learned she joined a 3-letter federal intelligence agency. She promptly scrubbed her social media phone numbers and email accounts. Okay, I mean, I don't know. I'm open to this idea. And they show this video of like this person walking. Oh, here's their gate. Everyone's looking at the gate. Oh. I will admit, once again, it is kind of a feminine walk. It very much makes me think chick. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it's some burly-ass dude and he's really offended somewhere. Like, I am not feminine. But yeah, who knows? Maybe it's this fucking broad. Or maybe it's this person. This other person seems to think it's this person. The pipe bomber's already been identified. His name's Ivan Ralkin. So you have someone else going the exact opposite way. I guess I wouldn't say exact opposite. Whoever this dork is not some Chad either. He's some weird fucking, I don't know. He creeps me out. He's like some fucking like vat baby, but accelerated into like adulthood or something. Like it's fucking creepy. But this is who some fucking, I don't know, Antifa guy thinks it is. This fucking dude.
Train hard enough to be able to complete the Army 10
So yeah, it's a fucking joke. It's all a joke. This is a joke. I mean, I don't know. I mean, is there anyone in my chat who actually was like, oh my God, Glenn Beck is getting to the bottom of the pipe bomb? I mean, sure. I'm just like, I almost feel like I'm like hedging, like I'm having to be like, just in case if something does come out later, I'd be like, oh, like, but right now, I don't know how anyone could tell me there's fucking anything of any interest whatsoever that's happened. This has been an absolute nothing burger. All right, let's keep moving. All right, let's kind of front load, I guess, this portion of the segment. Let's see what Eric Kirk's answer was to if she thinks they caught the guy who killed her husband. Oh, second, sorry, clicked on the wrong. There you go.
Do you think they've caught your husband's killer?
So, something I'm so grateful for is that we have one of the most incredible teams for this case. I would never wish it upon anybody to have to go through what we are going through. To have seen the autopsy report, to have seen the different evidence portions that have been collected. I trust our team.
Do you think...
Okay, I don't know. Whatever. So, and then what Mel has to say to this, she says no. The answer is no. She doesn't think they've caught her husband's killer. And she knows that because she's seen the autopsy report and it doesn't align with the other evidence that was collected. This is a very straightforward question. Literally no one answers like this unless there are things they simply can't say. And she might be correct. At the same time, let's check in our friend of the show, Jack Basso. Obviously, I say that sarcastically. He's a goofball. It says, here's someone saying, Grok, how many times has Jack Basso posted about Tyler Robinson in the last 72 hours? Someone says, based on over 8 posts in the last 72 hours. Well, let's get into one of them. Here's him saying, him quote tweeting someone who said, a disassembled Mauser ain't fitting in here, pal. No way, no how. Which for those who remember kind of the early days of the digging into the old Tyler Robinson stuff back a few weeks ago. One of the initial things was, how the fuck did he get the gun from there to there? There was a whole disassemble, reassemble. How did the fucking shell casing that he was fired somehow get from there to the fucking spot where the other gun was? Like all of these weird, like how does any of this make fucking sense? And one of these, how does it make sense, was how the fuck do you get a 30-06 Mauser, and how do you get that to this whole? How do you get up to the roof? Because this is what we're looking at right now for the audio people is a still picture from a surveillance video of what is purported to be Tyler Robinson going up some stairs that I believe lead or along the path towards the roof or whatever. And a lot of people point out, where the fuck's the gun? Where the hell is a 30-06 Mauser? I'm a short guy. That thing probably comes to like a 30-06. If I place in the ground beside me, the tip of the barrel probably comes to about near my shoulder. I'm about 5.5 feet tall. I don't remember what they come to, about maybe 4.5. I don't know. Somebody in the nerd, some gun nerd in the chat, tell me how tall they are. But pretty goddamn tall. Probably about to me, about a 5.5 foot tall guy. Probably about to my shoulder. And I guess Tyler, I think, was probably, if I had to guess, was around 6 foot. If I had to guess, but even still. I don't know where the fuck you're getting, even if you break that thing that's like yay long into 2 pieces, now you have 2 pieces about yay long. I don't know. What we have here is Jack Poso says it would have easily fit under his clothing with the barrel disassembled. What I told Poso is cool story. Here's a picture of the Phase 1 Epstein files. Just a casual reminder. But as Pump House here in the reply says, hey Jack, you turn into total establishment cuck. I'll go with the Marines and Special Forces dude's assessment that actually know about firearms. So catch this breakdown because I find this to be pretty solid.
On this episode of You Might Be a Dumb Motherfucker, this is my rifle. It takes 2 different tools to take it apart. It takes a Torx key and an Allen key. Now, if I take a shot and immediately disassemble this, I have to remove the bolt, remove the magazine, grab my Allen key, hit the 2 bolts on the bottom, put those away in the Allen key, grab my Torx key, remove the scope, put everything in the backpack, make sure I have everything, and make my way downtown. Okay, which is going to take a lot longer for him than it is for me, especially because his fine-tuned motor function, something as simple as grabbing an Allen key to a little bolt, is going to be extremely impaired due to a dump of adrenaline throughout his bloodstream. An extreme elevated heart rate is going to make these fine-tuned skills extremely difficult. I mean, just for him to think and analyze of what needs to be done to disassemble this rifle and get away would be difficult. And we're not even going to touch the topic of him assembling the rifle on top of the roof, which if you reassemble a rifle and you take a cold dead shot, it's not going to be 100% accurate. Okay, or the fact that he disassembled this after taking a shot, which the rifle's going to be hot and they found no gloves. There's just so many inconsistencies. It just makes zero sense. I mean, I'm still working on this and I have taken this rifle apart 1,000 times. And now he has to put the pieces of the rifle into a backpack. And this is a gigantic backpack. Shout out Wolfpack, best backpacks on the fucking planet. Anyways, as you can see, this barrel, broken down, does not fit in this backpack. And this is a big boy, way bigger than the one that he was carrying. Okay, I put the rifle stock in here and guess what? It doesn't fit. It sticks out. Now let's just say for sake of argument that he put these in his pant leg and he was walking. These are still so long broken down that he would not be able to walk straight. He wouldn't be able to bend his legs. Doesn't make fucking sense.
And for the audio people, he's pointing out there is a specific clip that you can see at one point. And I remember playing this in a show forever ago. There's like a shot where they're panning. So to be fair, it's kind of hard to really gauge to what degree to how quick the shadowy figure on the roof is moving because it is panning. So it's like, it's a moving shot. So then it's another moving thing. And so it's kind of hard to really gauge to how quick that thing's moving. But point being is it does say you're immediately running after. You do see this video of like a little grainy guy on the roof. you can see him, obviously. I mean, you can find better versions of this. This is not the greatest view since it's like, taken from an Instagram video. But it's definitely there. There's definitely a blip of someone on the roof, and you see them moving. And the funny thing is, like, immediately running after, too. So it's like this other, like, what? The whole breakdown thing. All right, let's keep going. And yeah, you see him running on the roof again. The one video everyone's seen, running. Although I will say this one, they're pointing to the running, kind of being like, oh, he's running. Like, how could he have it in his thing? I'd say the immediately running after thing would actually kind of be like, it would take away from the idea of him disassembling, but whatever. Like of disassembling in the first place. But this one, I will say, we've analyzed this in the show, and I would actually say, looking at this video right here and trying to be like, oh, there's clearly no gun hidden. Of course there isn't. I actually think that... I don't know what he dropped, but he did drop something, and it looked like he could have dropped a gun. It was hard to make out. It was a grainy video. I will say it doesn't look like he's running with a gun. All right. Okie dokie. All right, let's pop in the chats. Actually, no, let's keep moving. Here's the affidavit. Here's Jack Posick, Poso. Saying, here's the affidavit from Utah. Prosecutors confirming Tyler Robinson's parents identified him and worked to turn him into law enforcement. They accompanied him to the sheriff's office for a surrender. Now, I don't think I've actually read this on the show, and I don't know if this is new or what, or I think this is some old from some of the charging documents or something, the affidavit. So I figured we'd just take a second to read it, so that way we can just, center ourselves on what the current positions of the state are, so we're aware. And kind of go from there, just to be fair to Jack here. So here is from the affidavit. So the Washington County investigation, it says, it says, on the evening of September 11th, 2025, as law enforcement continued their investigation, Tyler James Robinson went to the Washington County Sheriff's Office with his parents and a family friend to turn himself in. Robinson's mother stated the following to police. On September 11th, 2025, the day after the shooting, Robinson's mother saw the photo of the shooter in the news and thought the shooter looked like her son. Robinson's mother called her son and asked him where he was. He said he was at home sick and that he'd also been at home sick on September 10th. Robinson's mother expressed concern to her husband that the suspected shooter looked like Robinson. Robinson's father agreed. Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started to lean more to the left, becoming more pro-gay and trans-right oriented. She stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male who was transitioning genders. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, with very different political views. In one conversation before the shooting, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk would be holding an event at UVU, which Robinson said was a stupid venue for the event. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate. Robinson's father reported that when his wife showed him the surveillance image of the suspected shooter in the news, he agreed that it looked like their son, which is weird because I don't think it looked much like their son, but whatever. He also believed that the rifle that police suspected the shooter used matched the rifle that was given to his son as a gift. As a result, Robinson's father contacted his son and asked him to send a photo of the rifle. Robinson did not respond. However, Robinson's father spoke on the phone with Robinson. Robinson implied that he planned to take his own life. Robinson's parents were able to convince him to meet at their home. As they discussed the situation, Robinson implied that he was a shooter and stated that he couldn't go to jail and just wanted to end it. When asked why he did it, Robinson explained there's too much evil and the guy spreads too much hate. They talked about Robinson turning himself in and convinced Robinson to speak with a family friend who was a retired deputy sheriff. At Robinson's father's request, the family friend met with Robinson and his parents to convince Robinson to turn himself in. The family friend spoke to police and reported telling Robinson that it would be best if he brought all evidence with him to the sheriff's office to avoid police having to search his parents' home. The family friend also asked Robinson if he had any clothes that were related to what he did. Robinson replied that he disposed of the clothes in different areas. So that is the affidavit. So I figure that's worthwhile to go through. I just saw Jack was posting on it, so I was like, hey, I figured to read it. Like I said, we can ground ourselves with what they're claiming. Now, obviously, this is all interesting. I'm waiting to hear more on this, though, because as of right now, all we have are just what the police have said, the family said. It's really not even that detailed because these are summations. I'm not saying there's anything untoward, in that regard. I don't know if that's just normal at this point in time. with them to not get down to like specific quotes or anything. But yeah, I would definitely like more specific quotes or stuff, but whatever. This might just be where they're at in the current stage of the case. But with all this going on, here's Ken Silva saying a coalition of media outlets is fighting for transparency in the Kirk assassination case. Also, the media coalition's motion discloses that both the defense and prosecution want to keep the transcript from the secret hearing sealed. Let me see. It says Kirk's death and ensuing criminal proceedings against Robinson have gathered extraordinary media attention and coverage at the Provo courthouse where hearings have taken place. Unsurprisingly, Judd wrote, both parties have attempted to chip away at those access rights almost immediately. The group, formerly called the Media Interveners, also are seeking relief for an infringement the members have said already happened. That infringement, Judd argued, occurred when the Utah County Sheriff's Office was allowed to file a court response under seal, where a later hearing revealed the office requested that Graff limit media coverage in the courthouse so that Robinson's appearance wouldn't be made public. Judd noted in Wednesday's filing that attorneys for the state and Robinson have also asked to make private the transcript and minutes of an October 24th hearing where these issues were argued in a closed hearing instead of using limited redactions. Now, obviously, I juxtapose this with the last thing where it's kind of like, cool, we have right now, the state is giving us a summation of sort of what kind of happened. I'm sorry, I need more than that. And now we're also furthermore getting this shady, not transparency, it seems, from the courts, making me a little concerned. And all these people say, oh, just wait for justice, just wait for justice. No, fuck that. We've been down this road a million times. We've seen this game play out. When you sit there and wait for justice, you don't get it. Not saying bitching and moaning will get it necessarily, but not doing a goddamn thing definitely won't either. So this idea that, oh, we're somehow, worsening their, or like somehow getting in the way of the lead. No, the fuck they aren't. If you have a good case, you have a good case. It doesn't matter what the fuck Candace Owens is saying online. And if anything, if you have a good case, I mean, sure, there are ways that you can probably tamper your case by releasing information to the public. But generally speaking, more transparency is going to lead to the public believing more in this case. So, and yeah, I do think it actually, people, we often see this, oh, wait for, and it's funny, this actually kind of applies to this little weird rant I had about like the whole death thing with Tucker earlier. It's like there's certain times where it's like this matters the most. Like so, like, oh, someone, oh, well, they just died. We can't speak ill of the dead. And it's like, same thing here. It's like, oh, well, we have an ongoing investigation. You don't want to tamper the investigation. Oh, you're going to cause problems. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. No, the fuck it isn't. Right now is the time that's the most important to go, yo, what the fuck is going on? Because if you don't, that's where they're going to pull your pants down, spread your cheeks, and fuck you in the ass. Definitely. I mean, they're probably going to do it either way. But if you just don't even ask questions, you just be a perfect little fucking little sheep, a little fucking Zio slave, and just don't ask a goddamn question. Yeah, they're going to fuck you. They're going to fuck you. All right, let's check in the chat, spend a minute, see what you guys are going to say. I think maybe we might just kind of cover a little bit of the Halloween plot stuff, kind of continue from our talk with Ken, and then maybe get on out of here. Knife Safety Plus saying the rifle didn't need to be disassembled. It's under his shirt behind his back and covered by the backpack. I tested this with my hunting rifle, very similar dimensions, and it works. Okay, perhaps. I don't know. I mean, the pictures I've seen, I've thought that too, like behind the back, but you'd think you'd see it poking through in particular frames. I'm open to it. Sure, why not? John Black says, good morning, dumplings. Missed the whole show. I'll check the replay. Good morning, John Black. Good morning. Gerald Hall says, a gun was found on a Palantir-owned property. Google it, Negroes, he said. Yeah, I remember seeing that. I don't know how legit that was, but yeah. If you watch him, he's not bending his thighs, says Knife Safety Plus. I don't know. I watched some of those videos, and that didn't really look right to me. He's saying it's stupid. He didn't need to disassemble. You're saying the whole gun? You're saying he put the whole gun down his back without disassembling? Now, I struggle to believe that. You need to do one of those videos if that's the case, because I'm sorry, doggy. That's wild. Or are you saying it's like, are you saying it kind of like didn't disassemble, whole gun down his back, through his back pant leg? Is that what you're saying? I think maybe that's what you're saying. which I think the only way that would really work for the barrel to be pointed up, but then now you have your stock up here, and that's going to be very obvious. I don't know, man. I don't understand how you could not disassemble that and not look fucking ridiculous. I don't think there's any way you're putting a full gun just down the back of your shirt through your back pant leg and no one's going to notice. It's not going to look like you looks like some ridiculous person. It's like almost like the idea of like sticking a refrigerator in your pants and trying to walk out of fucking Walmart. Like, what? That doesn't make sense. I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. Gerald says, doesn't realize some of us have legs long enough to conceal a rifle in our pants. Maybe. Justin says they maintain the rifle is down his pants fully assembled, which is why he was limping noticeably down the street. He couldn't have made it up the steps, but it would have been awkward. He could have made it up the steps. I don't know, man. I mean, maybe I just can't conceptualize it because I'm so fucking short. But man, that's hard to wrap my head around. I don't know. I don't want to see that one. Perhaps, maybe. Knife Safety Plus is not his pants. It's up his back. The barrel is in his pants leg going down the back of his thigh. Okay, yeah, that's what I was imagining. Okay, cool. That's exactly. So you're saying stock kind of like up here, kind of almost like you imagine someone carrying it in like a over their back kind of deal. Obviously, next to mine flip flop though. Anyways. I don't know, man. That seems weird to me still. Perhaps, maybe you're right. I don't know. That rifle's a little less than 4 foot long, says John Black. Okay. Knifesy says, I'll send you my explanation. These people are being stupid. I mean, I don't know. Maybe. Sounds pretty ridiculous to me, though. Is that a barrel or are you just happy to see me, says Boomer? Yeah. I don't know. Okay. I have sig fatigue, says Knife. All right, maybe you're correct. Maybe there's something to the breakdown thing. It seems pretty ridiculous to me. John Black's oldest daughter turns 19. Congrats for that, bud. It's wild. Weird stuff. I'm old, he says. Pray for my bank account. Sorry, dude. Let me see. Tom says, you can taint the jury if too many people are talking about a case is about the only thing I can think of. Yeah, I mean, so... Good morning, Mr. Chadhead. Good morning. Yes, Jose, I'm working on a thread. Okay, hell yeah, dude. Do that. I'll share that, or, I mean, as long as it's not absolute trash. But I'd be interested. We can play that on the show. Tom33 says, I'm 6'3". No way I'm walking with a rifle in my pants without looking retarded. I'd probably fall over. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Swedish Doom Glob, in question, if not that rifle, what could he have used? I have no idea, but the idea that it was a 30-06 Mauser seems pretty much on its face, pretty fucking ridiculous, as many people have pointed out. And that's without even going into all the other, how did he get it from here to there, the bullet casings, how do all these things make sense? How did he get from the roof? From there, which I think, as I said before with the roof thing, I think it could have been. But there was all sorts of questions. I have no idea what rifle he used. I don't think I really even need to know what rifle he used. I don't think. All I know is I don't think. I have a very, 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 very strong inclination to the point of almost assertion, to the point that I'm like, 30-06, okay, doggy, sure. A 30-06 that you also may or may not have had to have disassembled or somehow stashed in your back, or some weird. Yeah, it gets a little. I don't know. It gets a little weird. Rise of Liberty says there is no way for him to hide himself or the rifle, especially while changing his clothes on that roof. I'm heading to UVU tomorrow, so I'll show you what I mean. Hell yeah. All right. Well, maybe we'll get dueling threads from Knife Safety and Rise to Liberty, and maybe we'll play them on the show. All right. Let's talk a little bit about these Halloween terror plots. Here's Helena or Haba, whatever, looking pretty cute, not gonna lie, but she is, working for the devil, so that takes away points. But let's watch this.
Under President Trump and Attorney General Pam Bondi's leadership, protecting the homeland.
Oops, sorry, didn't mean to do that.
Trump and Attorney General Pam Bondi's leadership, protecting the homeland from radical Islamic terrorism and violent extremism, is one of the Justice Department's highest priorities. The President's directives to federal law enforcement are very clear. Act quickly, work together, and stop threats before innocent people are harmed. Yesterday, my office, working hand in hand with the National Security Division in my office, did just that and charged 2 individuals by federal complaint connected to the Halloween terror plot in Detroit. The first suspect is charged with conspiring to provide material support to a designated terrorist organization. The second suspect is charged with transmitting violent, anti-Semitic threats across the internet to individuals in the state of New Jersey and beyond. The threat of terrorism is real. When Americans are threatened, we respond fast, focused, and together. As alleged in today's complaint, from around October 4th, 2024 to November 4th, 2025, Tomas Khan Jimenez Gazelle of Montclair, New Jersey, and Saeed Ali Mareh of Kent, Washington, along with other co-conspirators, used encrypted messaging applications to plan travel to Turkey and then to Syria to join ISIS as fighters. In their communications, they discussed detailed travel plans, physical training, weapons including firearms and IEDs, and methods to avoid law enforcement detection. According to the complaint, they pledged themselves to ISIS and were plotting acts of terrorism in our country. The messages also included photographs of Jimenez Gazelle standing in front of the ISIS flag, holding a knife, and Mareh wearing an ISIS hat. The complaint against Milo Sidarat charges 2 counts of transmitting threats to interstate and foreign commerce. It describes a pattern of anti-Semitic messages advocating violence, along with images and purchases consistent with preparation for attack, including a knife and sword collection, tactical gear, and images of him practicing at a gun range. Jimenez Gazelle and Sidarat are scheduled for initial appearances this afternoon in federal court in the District of New Jersey. Mareh is scheduled for an initial appearance later today in the Western District of Seattle. Protecting the District of New Jersey and the United States, its people, its neighborhoods, and its institution is the core mission of our office. With our partners at the FBI and Maine Justice, we will continue to move swiftly and decisively whenever terrorism or hate threatens our community.
Update. I changed my mind on her being cute. The more I looked at her, the more I go, ugh, what the fuck? Those lips, the fucking, I don't know. It's not, the more the evil seeped through, the more I stared into her eyes. The more it came through. And then also the comical lips she's got going there. And then Fire Pixie, not to be a tacky homo, but Fire Pixie did point out the belt, pretty atrocious choice. Not doing her any favors, giving her a very odd looking figure. But no, it was her odd freaky face that did it for me. At a glance, before you like really watch her talk for a long period of time, you're like, oh, cute. And then you start moving, you're like, oh God, fucking, nightmare demon that fucking steals everything from you. All right, let's continue on with this. Back into what Ken got to say about this is more arrests in the so-called Halloween terror plot. This is again, they make announcement without releasing criminal complaint. Again, these next 2 guys are charged with material support and transmitting threats, not with plotting a terror attack. It says we have another undercover involved. So he says, he highlights here from the article covering it, says, according to the sources, an NYPD undercover investigator had been monitoring a suspect who was in communication with those arrested in Michigan and others overseas. So we're up to at least 3 undercovers now if the above report is accurate. Me and obviously Ken talked about this when he was on recently. So they also arrested the guy who was referred to only as co-conspirator 4 in the original complaint. He's a skinny one whose name and photo were initially redacted in the first complaint from Monday. So I guess they had him redacted and now they are charging him. So I'll give him, I guess, a little bit of credit there. That does make it look a little bit more legit now that some of the guys, they seemingly were protected before. Maybe they were just doing it for like in-the-moment legal reasons. So, okay, one of the few times we're like, okay, that makes sense for a redaction. Most of the time it's like from something from like decades ago that like it doesn't actually fucking matter. It's just that they don't want you to know about the evil, crazy shit they do. And then kind of continuing on more about this, here's Loomer got in on it about a week ago initially. just think it's interesting because we're honing on the glowy aspect of this and to what degree it does or does not glow. I have a pretty strong feeling this Halloween thing may end up, when it's all said and done, looking a little fucking contrived. But who knows? I'm open to the idea that for once they got a W, but especially in the way that this thing proceeded out, kind of almost perfectly timed. Oh, here's our Halloween plot, seemingly following in line with this whole Cash pattern of being over his skis, way over. It's kind of like, what are you doing? Like, I know I said before, like, oh, more transparency. Well, it's almost as if like Cash is trying to give us like, it's not even really transparency. It's just retardation that, like, masquerades as transparency. And then later you go, oops, we fucked up. And then it's almost like this weird way of, like, kind of being able to give an argument of, like, well, this is why we can't be transparent. Like, for example, like him, how many goddamn suspects did he say they had, multiple times over the course of the initial 33 hours with Tyler Robinson? How many, like, it was at least once, and there was like hours, and this was like way ahead of time. I think they reported that Zinn guy like very soon, and he's out there reporting, oh, we've got suspects. Well, that sort of transparency, yes, that sort of transparency of like labeling things when they're probably not correct as if they are correct, yeah, that could have some fucking problems, especially when you are the head of the FBI. That's a little bit different than being transparent. So, but it almost, I feel like in a certain way, it's this like dialectical effect of like, well, we can't be transparent because we tried transparency. You're like, no, you were just an idiot. Different things. But here's Laura. This is from about a week ago, so this is early on. So yada, yada, yada. Her's talking about one of these people in this Halloween thing. We're not going to read it all. But I just wanted to, on the glowy thing, here's Ken saying, the person Loomer referenced here has been charged. The person she's talking about. Nasser was co-conspirator 4 in the original complaint. I wonder who leaked info about his identity to Loomer. So this is a guy we were just talking about a minute ago that was redacted in the original ones, because she obviously wouldn't have just figured that out herself, because for one, she's retarded. And also I think Ken is implying there's not really like a way like a journalist could deduce that from that. But so he's pointing out this thing from days ago that Loomer was the one who somehow got the exclusive on this person. So yeah, the idea that Loomer is getting these, it very much is reminiscent of Crowder getting the whole all the weird transphobic screeds or whatever the fuck supposedly that didn't end up really actually even really being that on the bullets of allegedly Tyler Robinson. Seems we're noticing this this influencer game afoot, which I gotta say, it glows. But with that, guys, let's check the chat, and then we're going to get out of here. We're a little late in the tooth. I'm surprised my old lady isn't standing there going, what the fuck are you doing? Although I think she's editing pictures of kitties right now. So anyone who follows the site or the Facebook of the site, or I think it's an Instagram too, of the cattery, you might be getting some cute new photos soon. But anyways, let's pop through chat, say our goodbyes, and then we'll play our outro and get on out of here. For those who want to support what I'm doing, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. You can follow this show on YouTube, Rumble, all the audio podcatchers you can find on Twitter as well, at Tower Gang Jose. If you want to support the show in the best way you can do that with money over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. QR code up here. You can join at the low level of $2. You get access to a whole host of perks. I give you access to early episodes. I try to do 1 to 2 a week. Sorry, I've been slacking this week. I've actually had some medical problems with the wife this week. Nothing crazy. Don't need to ask any questions, but just had an odd schedule. So some of her seizure-y stuff acting up this week. But I got one in, so I got at least one. I'm going to try to get another one in for you guys this weekend. I try to usually keep about 4 behind the paywall at any given time. Also, give you guys access to the ad-free RSS feed and access to Telegram and the pre-show, post-show, and video calls on me and Austin's weekly live call-in show, Already Dead, which is on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And call in there. You can hang out with us. And I give a big shout-out to the highest level of my sponsors. Every episode is a big thank you for everything they do. And my previous co-hosts on Tower Gang, at Learn to Toad, also at Abrogate D's, at ZOVRCK, at _Infinite Zeal, Tim Tuttle, at John Klebold, big fan of the show, Tormate, at Wayne Taculus, 1-800-CAR for kids, No Free Lunch Jack, and Mark Vestibule. I could keep popping through the chat, and then we'll play the outro, see if there's anything in here. Gerald saying, bye, guys. Love you all. Bye-bye. Hey, Black Eye. I don't think I said good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. Wyzuck says, pussy chasing Pajit is easily distracted. Well, I think Cash is a homo. So just to be clear, I think he's a gay. And I think all of this is actually, like, for example, I think they're like flying over there and stuff. Well, I don't think he intended the whole backlash and all that. I think making a point to go visit his, his country music girlfriend and stuff. I think a lot of that is exhausting work to maintain your beard, I guess you could say, is one way to put it. And man, I was just thinking about the other day, what an awful existence to be like, I've got to upkeep the appearance of a fucking relationship with some annoying 20-year-old cunt in order to what? Fucking so that I don't have to tell the world I'm gay in a period of time where no one really actually cares. The only reason you can't is because you've built yourself as this character. What an awful hell. And I'm glad he's living in it because fuck him. Good morning, King David. You're the man. Although I take that back. I wish he wasn't living. I wish he'd get his. I take that back. That was hateful. I wish he'd get his shit together. He'd get his life right. Stop gooning. Whatever it is, the things. I wish he'd stop all that. Get together. Unfortunately, if he did that, he'd probably end up like Charlie Kirk. So I'm not holding my breath. Swedish says Patel is not stupid. He's corrupt. His girlfriend linked Mossad. Yep. For sure. Looking that way. King David says, you're the fucking man. Thank you, brother. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. Enjoy this outro. I hope this gave you some laughs. Thank you, Marjan, for sharing that with me. Also, a reminder to you guys out there, tag me at Tower Gang Jose on Twitter if you have content that you feel like would make sense for the show, whether that be the introductory fun stories, whether that's foreign policy, whether that's one of the main topics, whether that's an outro, something, a little more funny or something along those lines, whatever it may be, tag me in it. This is how I stay informed with you guys. This goes both ways. It's a vicious circle. It's like we're a human centipede of information here. So keep giving me nutrients so I can shit it down your throat so you can shit it down back mine. Okay. So we'll keep this circle going. I appreciate you guys. Love you all. Enjoy the outro. See you all Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern.
I'm so bored, I just sent a bunch of flowers to my neighbour Steve with a note that reads, I still miss you. Love, Laura. Kiss, kiss, kiss. I guess his wife just found them. Sorry, Steve. I was bored. I'm so bored, I just